Welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Chapter 21. Politeness Forging Artifact Peak Disciples are sending greetings. Art Hall. Brother, I want to switch to Mingbo Jutsu. One person handed over the disciple card. Disciple on duty. Subway. Old man, looking at mobile phone. Why would a physical cultivator like you from Kunli Peak exchange for sound cultivation spells? Are you kidding me? Before he could say anything, another person handed over his disciple card. Brother, I want to change too. Me too. The disciple on duty fell silent as he looked at the disciple cards of Shu Sword Peak and Kaidao Peak. Then he clenched his fists. These disorderly disciples were kicked out of the hall. Brother, what should we do now? The round face of the young disciple from Asahi Sword Peak wrinkled. Alas, the senior brother in the magic hall is really something. Who says that sword cultivators can't learn sound cultivation magic? The plan of giving someone a taste of their own medicine was aborted. The leading sword disciple had not anticipated this and was pondering over how to deal with the two old men. This senior brother. Just as the sword cultivating disciples were thinking, the physical cultivating disciples who had just been kicked out of the magic hall together with them came over. Do you have any advice for me, brothers? The sword cultivating disciples did not know what their intention was and asked questions. We want to work with Asahi Sword Peak. The physical training disciple said frankly. If those people hadn't always used insidious tactics, we should have been in the front row all along. This is true. After all, sword cultivators are famous for their fast running speed, and physical cultivators have great physical strength as well. Good brother. You are right. The leading sword disciple nodded in approval, and he and the enthusiastic body disciple put their arms around each other's shoulders, denouncing the other's shameless behavior. Although the two have not yet thought of a suitable solution, they have made an agreement that the disciples of the two peaks can share some new information and methods. After sending off the physical training disciples, the leading sword training disciple couldn't help but burst out laughing. Brother, you guys haven't figured out a solution yet, right? The young disciple wondered what was so funny about this. Drinking at half-time. Humph, come closer. The leading sword disciple beckoned with his fingers, asking his fellow disciples to come closer, and then spoke. I put some listening notes on the people at Xuanfa Peak earlier. I wasn't thinking just now, I was listening to their messages. The disciples of Xuanfa Peak have found out that senior sister Ruan always has a good way of catching up with new products. Several disciples were greatly shocked and were curious about what the method was. The leading sword disciple talked about the usefulness of the empathetic wooden puppet, and the other's eyes immediately lit up. Then let's get a few wooden puppets so we can know when junior brother Zhu makes new products. Yes. This method is great, now, take it. So, senior brother, should we tell this method to the physical training senior brother just now? The young disciple asked naively, and then was hit on the head by several senior brothers. Silly you, why tell them? That's right, they are the only ones who can compete with us in running away. Without them, we will lose our biggest competitor. The young disciple lowered his head, feeling deeply ashamed of his own naivety and ignorance. I just put listening notes on them, so that we can know what the physical cultivators from Kunli Peak are doing later. The leading sword disciple looked very pleased with himself. Oh, no wonder the two brothers were so close to each other just now. I thought it was because physical cultivators are naturally generous. That's, huh. The leading sword disciple suddenly felt something was wrong, and turned his head to look behind him. I also discovered the listening notes in myself. FK, you old bastards. The roar of the sword cultivating disciple was floating in the air, while the physical cultivating disciple who had just been arm in arm with him very calmly tore up the useless listening notes. Did you hear that? The physical training disciple raised his eyes and looked at his fellow disciples on the same peak. I heard it. At this moment, there was not a trace of enthusiasm and sincerity on the faces of these guys, instead, their faces were filled with sinister smiles of success. Let's go. Let's get some wooden puppets. Good. Well, wait. The leading brother in physical training thought about it and suddenly felt something was wrong, so he asked his disciples to check their bodies as well. Then, why do I have musical notes on me? Shit, I have 3 of them. It must have been put there by those sword cultivators. Something was wrong with him in the magic hall just now. The leader's eyes went dark, and then he gritted his teeth and squeezed out the following words. Shameless B asterisk 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 D, I asterisk and percent hash at. Equals 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 equals. Forge artifact peak. A group of disciples ran in panting. Brother, please give me 3 empathetic wooden puppets and help me reinforce this basin. Brother, I want 4. If this basin cannot be reinforced, please help me build a new one. Me too. Artifact Peak Disciple. Why does this sound so familiar? The Artifact Peak Disciple's mouth twitched as he recalled the psychological damage Ruan Man had brought to him a few days ago. Before he could say anything, a group of disciples came running in from behind. Brother, I want 5 empathetic wooden puppets. Give me some too. Just as the Artifact Peak Disciple was about to answer, a third group of people came running in. Brother, wooden puppet, do you understand? What's wrong with you guys? This wooden puppet can neither kill monsters nor defend yourself, why do you need so many of them? Will the extra spirit stone burn my hands? The Artifact Peak Disciples were speechless. What was even more speechless was yet to come. These groups of people suddenly started to curse each other. You shameless B asterisk 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 D, you put a talisman on me, do you have any shame? Same here. We were the ones who found out about it first. We should be the first to be built. You are dreaming. If you call out, will the wooden puppet respond? Several disciples were arguing, and the Artifact Peak disciples were almost going crazy from listening to it. Quiet. The furious Artifact Peak disciple used his spiritual power to roar, and finally his mind returned to peace. Afterwards, the exhausted Artifact Peak disciples no longer cared and assigned the people to their junior brothers one by one, telling them to go to their junior brothers if they had any problems. I won't be bothered if I don't see it. Junior brother, listen to me, thank you, because of you smiley face. The wooden puppet is not so bad, after all, it is a serious reconnaissance prop. But when the basin needed to be reinforced later, the Artifact Peak disciple in charge of forging it was so angry that he cursed. What's wrong with you? You want me to reinforce a broken basin made of ordinary iron? I am a third-grade artifact refining engineer after all. You asked me to fix a leak for you. Are you humiliating me? I'm sorry, brother. I didn't think it through. The broken pot disciple looked embarrassed. The Artifact Peak disciple's expression eased a little, and then he heard the boy say. Then please help me build a new basin. It'd better be bigger and stronger than this one. Artifact Peak disciple. Is this the difference between repairing a pot and making a pot? I am an artifact refining master. A practitioner of the 4 arts of immortality. What we are creating are weapons and law weapons, do you understand? You want me to do the job of a blacksmith in the mortal world, what do you mean? The Artifact Peak disciple's face turned red with anger and he was about to lose his temper. It was the leading disciple who reacted quickly and immediately stood up to explain. Brother, he didn't explain it clearly. What we need is a defensive law weapon, preferably one that is large and strong. It is only because it has a special purpose that the law weapon needs to be made into a basin. I absolutely do not mean to tease you, brother. Yes, that's right, we want a defensive law weapon in the shape of a large basin. The disciple behind him reacted and immediately continued. Upon hearing this, the Artifact Peak disciple suppressed his anger a little, looked at everyone, and asked. Really? You guys are also going to defend against law weapon? The disciples nodded quickly, indicating that this basin, this defensive law weapon would be very useful. Yes, brother, we really need this. It would be best if we could add a pair of chopstick-shaped stick-hidden weapons. They have to be blunt-ended. The disciples also took out their spirit stones and handed them over, fearing that their senior brother would not agree. What the hell is this, a blunt-headed stick-hidden weapon? Although the Artifact Peak disciples were still speechless, since so many disciples said so, maybe it really had some special use. He said no more and got up to forge. I just want to finish this order quickly and send these people away. An hour later, the disciples received their own basins and chopsticks and left happily. The Artifact Peak disciple sat on the stool feeling exhausted. What is going on? Before they could rest for a while, 2 more people came in. When the Artifact Peak disciples saw that they were 2 of their direct disciples, they immediately perked up and greeted them. My 2 brothers, what kind of law weapon or prop do you want to create? We want a few empathic wooden puppets. Artifact Peak disciple. Did you just hear this? And then there is. As Zheng Liang spoke, he took out his ugly, concave object from his storage ring. Help me reinforce this, thank you. The artifact peak disciple almost covered his eyes to prevent himself from fainting from the ugliness, and then he heard Wei Hengwen speak. Brother, please help me build a basin. It's better to be bigger and stronger. The artifact peak disciple's eyes widened. Zheng Liang was surprised to see that the man was standing there in a daze. Isn't this job easy? Are you going to do it or not? Forging artifact peak disciples. Ka angle underscore. Damn it. Chapter 22 How scary. Someone is burying something dirty at the door. Today is also a peaceful day. Zhu Fan got up after a good sleep, raised his hand and performed a few water purification techniques and dust removal techniques on himself. Turn on the rice cooker that's on night shift and take out the regular blood-nourishing soup. When Zhu Fan went out, he felt something strange under his feet, as if he had stepped on something. Curious, Zhu Fan dug up the soil at the door of the alchemy room and saw an empathetic wooden puppet. Zhu Fan. How could there be a wooden puppet buried here? Shen Ang and Ruan Man had given him a wooden puppet before, and it was still placed in the house. Zhu Fan held the wooden puppet, feeling puzzled. He observed carefully and found that the soil outside the alchemy room had been disturbed. Zhu Fan frowned and realized that things were not simple. Dig the soil here and turn over a piece of land there. Then Zhu Fan looked at the dozens of empathetic wooden puppets on the ground, his face full of black lines. Who among my family members understands? There are so many little people buried at the door of my room. To be honest, this scene is a bit creepy. What's more, this is a world of cultivation, where ghosts really do exist. Zhu Fan sighed and helplessly put all the wooden puppets together and put them inside. Although it would be weird to have a bunch of wooden figures in the house. But it's better than burying it at your own door. Zhu Fan understood what these brothers meant. But there is no way, there are only so many materials, so we have to arrange them in appropriate amounts. Although the pot can grow bigger, how big it becomes depends on Zhu Fan's spiritual power. You can't just stir-fry peppers and add water like you would soup, right? What the hell is that? Never mind. Just make sure you have the daily soups and drinks needed to boost your energy and heal injuries, and leave the rest to chance. However, considering how hard those disciples worked and how they often sent him things, Zhu Fan decided to make some simple meals today for everyone. While at work, a colleague from Shaanxi taught him how to make oil-splashed noodles. The chewy noodles paired with chili and garlic tasted so delicious. I've been eating rice for several days and want to change the taste. And there is no need to change the system formula, it's purely free cultivation, it's very beautiful. Kneading dough is a somewhat laborious task, but Zhu Fan recently learned a technique that allows him to directly use his spiritual power to control water and flour, which is both convenient and fun. Water and flour were squeezed, deformed, and fused in the embrace of spiritual power, and finally turned into white and tender dough. Raise your hands and pinch off small balls from the dough, roll them into a flour dustpan, brush them with oil, and start to let the dough rest. While the dough is resting, you can prepare other ingredients. While Zhu Fan was busy in the hut, the other disciples were also in the forest, starting their busy day. D, you actually stole my wooden puppet. Brother, you can't slander someone's innocence out of thin air. Don't I know who took the damn empathetic wooden puppet? The disciples whose wooden puppets were stolen were very angry. Damn it, these bastards not only buried their own wooden puppets but also took away other people's wooden puppets. What a beast. Luckily, I was smart enough to bury an extra one behind the house. Zhu Fan. Damn, I was careless and didn't check other places. The disciple whose wooden puppet was stolen chased after the man while cursing. At first, the man just dodged, but then, he suddenly stopped, his eyes flashed, his feet became fast, and he ran away to the side. The disciple who was chasing was stunned for a moment, and then he sensed the smell coming from the wooden puppet, and his spirit was suddenly shocked. Junior brother Zhu Fan has made something new again. In an instant, several figures rushed out from the forest. Today, the disciple speed race in District B10 begins again. The first to appear were the disciples of Wanyan Peak. As expected, several sound cultivating disciples used the Mingbo technique first. With crisp sounds, the other disciples' Qifeng shields broke apart. Well done. But before the sound cultivating disciples could smile, their Qifeng shields shattered with a snap. It's a hidden weapon. Someone used a hidden weapon. Who is it? Who threw the hidden weapon? The sound cultivating disciples were so angry that they jumped up and down, while the other disciples were laughing so hard that their mouths were crooked. You have come to this day too. The disciples smiled happily as if they had gotten their revenge. Without the ability to use the Qifeng hood, everyone is back to the original starting point. Fight for speed. The sword cultivating disciples took the lead, and this was worthy of being the fastest system in the cultivation world. Although these disciples had just started learning, the speed they demonstrated had already widened the gap with the magic practitioners and formation practitioners at the back. Following closely behind were the physical training disciples, who followed closely behind him enthusiastically and closely, just as they did yesterday when they were arm in arm with each other in a friendly manner. You B********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* Same here, how else would you know about the wooden puppet? The disciples of Xuanfa Peak at the back started to curse, asking how come the information they had heard was just given to these thieves for nothing. The disciples were still running wildly. Suddenly, a sword-cultivating disciple noticed that something seemed to be wrong with the land in front of him and shouted, "Be careful ahead." Several disciples stopped when they heard the shouting, but 2 or 3 of them didn't have time to break and rushed forward, triggering the formation below on the spot and falling into the quagmire again. Damn it! Are you playing with my P***Psi again? Shenjunfeng, all FKU and %N. The other sword disciples saw this and did not panic at all. They took out a strange stone from their storage ring and attached it to the front end of their swords. That is the sword testing stone commonly used by sword practitioners. When sword energy is injected into it, a response will occur. The spiritual power of low-level formations will leak out. Sword cultivators can use this sword testing stone to sense the spiritual power and avoid the formations. They stretched out their swords and swung them as they walked, judging whether they could pass through that direction based on the reaction of the sword testing stone. It felt like they were playing a minesweeper game. Seeing this, the other formation masters behind gritted their teeth and decided to upgrade quickly. When my formation reaches a higher level in the future, I'll see how you can sweep it. The physical training disciples did not have sword testing stones, and looking at the smug looks of the sword training disciples, the physical training disciples sneered. Look at the guy. The leading physical training disciple actually took out a huge meteor hammer from his storage ring. What does he do with this? Before the other disciples could become puzzled, the physical training disciple had already taken himself as the center and was spinning rapidly on the spot like a windmill, with the friction between the meteor hammer and the air making a crackling sound. Drink. With a loud roar from the physical training disciple, the meteor hammer was thrown high into the air, and then the physical training disciple actually pulled the chain and was taken away with it. I come from the sky, how can your formation on the earth stop me? The physical training disciples in the air laughed like monkeys. The other disciples were all stunned. What? You don't have a flying law weapon, so you're going to use a throwing law weapon, right? You really rely on your strong physique and are not afraid of falling. Bang! In the eyes of other disciples, the parabola drew a graceful arc and carried the physical training disciples heavily to the ground, making a loud earth-shaking sound. It sounds like it hurts so much. The birds in the forests were frightened and flew around screaming. What's going on? Shen Ang and Zhang Rui, standing on the flying law weapon, looked at the woods with confusion. Monster. Can such a commotion be caused on a rank 1 rank 2 monster? Although junior brother Zhu's food is very important, if there is any danger over there, it is better to deal with it first. The 2 of them turned a corner and flew over there. As I was flying, I saw a huge meteor hammer with something tied to it passing by in front of me. Shen Ang and Zhang Rui, what the hell degree? Chapter 23. I have never seen this scene before. The physical cultivators swung their meteor hammers one by one, pulling their bodies across the formation area. Not only were the disciples in the front row stunned, but even Shen Ang and Zhang Rui who were flying in the sky were also shocked. I don't understand it, but I am shocked. Brother Zhang, what kind of skills are these physical training disciples practicing? Shen Ang looked confused. He originally thought that since he came from a family of cultivators, what kind of strange cultivation methods had he not seen? But I have never seen such a scene. Quote, quote. Zhang Rui couldn't answer. Not sure, wait and see. He also knew a few of Kunlifeng's disciples, but he had never seen them use a meteor hammer. As several physical cultivators landed and rushed forward, and the sword cultivators behind them frantically swept the mines, the other disciples struggled to trudge through the formation area. Zhang and Shen also understood what these disciples were doing. Isn't this too hard? Especially the physical cultivators in the front, two of them landed in a bad position and hit the rocks. That speed, that momentum, and the sound of the collision, even their level of cultivation made their teeth ache just by listening to it. Looking down, the scene was even more tragic. Now one of the hands is hanging down and the other is jumping on one foot, obviously with a broken bone. But they kept moving forward with their extraordinary perseverance. Zhang and Shen were very impressed and rushed towards Zhu Fan at an accelerated speed. Junior brother is really trying hard. So scary. I have to eat it quickly, otherwise I will miss it soon. Danfang Department. Zhu Fan rolled the dough into a flat oval shape, and with both hands on each side, he swung it up and down to stretch it. Soon, the flat dough was stretched into strips. Fold it over and tear it into appropriate width, throw it into the pot and wait for the water to boil. When the noodles and side dishes are cooked, put them in a bowl and add salt, vinegar, soy sauce, onion, garlic, spice powder, and most importantly, chili. The boiling hot oil was poured, making a sizzling sound. Listening to the sound and smelling the smell, even Zhu Fan couldn't help but start swallowing his saliva. Beep. Successfully made, oil-splashed noodles. Evaluation. Good. Achievement points. 15 points. Cultivation. 30 points. Zhu Fan raised the corner of his mouth. He succeeded in gaining free cultivation. And just as he expected, the noodles without any special spiritual ingredients only had some effect of increasing spiritual power, similar to bone soup. But we have drunk bone soup so many times, so I'm sure the disciples will be very happy if we change the taste today. In order to prevent the noodles from clumping together after being cooked for too long, Zhu Fan simply carried the pot with him and went out to cook. If his disciples asked for instructions, they would cook and pour the sauce on the spot. After Zhu Fan set up the pot outside, Shenang and Zhang Rui came down stepping on the law weapon. Brother Zhu, are we having noodles today? Shenang looked at the dough ball that Zhu Fan had placed on the board. It was milky white and soft, and looked very cute. Well, we won't be making bone soup today. We'll use oil-splashed noodles instead, which has the same effect. Everyone will get one. How many would you like, senior brother Shen? Zhu Fan asked while pulling the noodles. Shenang did not hesitate. Full it up. I hope that whatever junior brother cooks will be delicious, and this noodle can also help improve your cultivation. If I hesitate for even a moment, I will have to slap myself twice. Zhang Rui also picked up the bucket and placed it in front of him. Me too, please help me, junior brother Zhu. Zhu Fan. Equals. Brother Zhang, how much do you like eating with a bucket? While Zhu Fan was pulling noodles, Ruan Man and his companions, as well as several physical training disciples of the Leaping Meteor Hammer, also arrived. Except for Zhang and Shen who knew what was going on, Zhu Fan, Ruan Man and others were all shocked when they saw these physical cultivation disciples. The physical training disciples were dusty and covered in mud, and one or two of them had broken hands and limp legs. What have you been going through? Since when did a rank 2 monster become so lethal? Or was he beaten like this while racing with other disciples? A fellow disciple wouldn't be so cruel, right? Last time, Shenjun Peak tricked so many people but didn't get his legs broken. Zhu Fan and the others were puzzled. Brother, what are you doing? Zheng Liang asked directly. It's okay, we threw it with meteor hammers. The leading physical training disciple had a broken front tooth and revealed a simple smile. God, throwing a meteor hammer can make you end up like this. I'm throwing a meteor hammer, not you. Zheng Liang muttered to himself speechlessly. He didn't plan to ask any more questions. He raised his hand and several rays of happy green light appeared on the people. It was visible to the naked eye that the arm was reattached, the leg was no longer lame, the teeth grew back, and the dust was removed. Several physical cultivators instantly became brand new. Zheng Liang's recovery skills are among the best in the entire sect, even stronger than some of the elders. It is with this skill that he is able to survive under the control of his senior brothers and sisters. Otherwise, if someone else was hit by his senior brothers and sisters, he would have to lie in bed for 10 days or half a month, conservatively estimated. The physical trainee saluted Zheng Liang with gratitude. Zheng Liang didn't care at all. He waved his hand and waited for Zhu Fan to make him noodles. While Zhu Fan was cooking the noodles, other disciples arrived one after another. The physical trainees at the front held their heads high and chests puffed out with pride. Ha 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 ha, you scumbags, you can't catch up with me. The physical practitioners were thinking of saying something sarcastic, ahem, just to have a friendly exchange with their fellow apprentices, but ended up hearing Zhu Fan talking nearby. Don't worry, brothers. Today we'll use noodles instead of bone soup. Everyone will get a portion. What? Everyone gets a share. Then what's the point of breaking our legs today? The physical practitioners were stunned. Their smiling faces immediately spread to other people's faces. The other disciples cheered, but the physical training disciples looked frustrated, as if they had lost some kind of happiness. What are you doing? Cheer up. The leading physical training disciple spoke with a serious face. Our tactics are successful. We can win today, and we can win tomorrow too. There will always be a place for us in the front row. Upon hearing this, the other physical cultivators' eyes gradually became firm. That's right, we won today. We have to be in the front row every day. The physical training disciples who received the noodles took a deep breath and savored the hard-earned deliciousness. The white noodles are shiny and look so charming under the sunlight. Stimulated by hot oil, onions, garlic and chilies bloom with the strongest aroma in their lives. One bite and you'll be filled with a variety of sensations, including freshness, garlic flavor, and smoothness. The chewy noodles are full of wheat aroma, and are intertwined with the chili oil wrapped around them. It's a perfect match like a perfect match. Zhu Fan also thoughtfully distributed garlic to everyone. Garlic can remove greasiness, and its unique taste makes everyone drool. The disciples' chopsticks seemed to be under a spell. They slurped the noodles again and again, unable to stop at all. Beep. Received favorable comments from customers, gained 2 points of cultivation. Beep. Received favorable comments from customers, gained 2 points of cultivation. Comma. Brother Zhu, please give me another one. Me too, I'll take this for my share today. While Zhu Fan was busy, he happily calculated how much cultivation he had gained for free that day. After every disciple had received the noodles, they returned to the forest in groups of 3 or 4 to concentrate on hunting monsters. Since they had received new products today, there was no need to go back and forth for training. Shen Ang and Zhang Rui burped and were about to fly away when they heard several disciples calling them. Senior brother Shen Ang, senior brother Zhang Rui. Zhang and Shen turned around and saw several outer disciples from Blazing Blade Peak, who saluted them with resolute and solemn eyes. Second brother, we would like to ask for advice on how to get the front row. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 24 I became more energetic after I got mental illness. The dirty or desperate methods used by the disciples from other peaks deeply shocked the disciples of Blazing Blade Peak. However, the outer disciples had limited experience and knowledge, and they could not think of any good way to deal with the situation for a while. Fortunately, they could see the direct disciples and inner disciples of Chidao Peak here, so they wanted to ask for their advice. Although you may be rejected if you disturb them rashly, it won't hurt to give it a try. Shen Ang hesitated. Although these are all his fellow disciples, they are also competing for food. If I give some advice, what should I do if someone steals my food next time? But if I ignore them, thinking about the methods used by those physical cultivators today, I suddenly feel sorry for my junior brother. I don't want my brother to suffer, but I'm also afraid that he will become a hindrance. Unlike Shen Ang who was struggling, Zhang Rui directly asked several fellow apprentices a question. Do you know what is the difference between you and those physical practitioners? The outer disciples looked bewildered. A disciple asked quietly. What's wrong with us not having a meteor hammer? Quote. Zhang Rui was almost choked to death by this guy. He glared at the other person angrily. Too bad for not using your strengths. The ancestor of our sword cultivation entered the Tao with the sword, splitting mountains and rivers with his might, with unparalleled dominance, and all obstacles were cut off with the sword. Now that you are in trouble, what do you think you should do? Zhang Rui was quite famous in Blazing Blade Peak. When he first entered the sect, his talent was only above average, but he was unwilling to lag behind and practiced diligently. Later, when competing with other sects for opportunities, Zhang Rui rushed into the ancient realm where life was at stake with a desperate determination to obtain the inheritance. Later, he was noticed by the Peak Master and accepted as his personal disciple, becoming a role model for countless disciples of Chidao Peak. But senior brother Zhang, although the sect does not forbid disciples from sparring with each other, I would feel really bad if I seriously injured a fellow disciple. One of the young disciples still looked hesitant. Hearing the disciple's answer, Zhang Rui's eyes flashed with gentleness, and he asked again. Then why don't you think about how to break through the barrier with your sword without hurting your fellow disciples? Several disciples of Blazing Blade Peak fell into deep thought upon hearing this. After a while, they thought of something and a look of enlightenment flashed in their eyes. Thank you, senior brother Zhang, for your teachings. Several disciples saluted, and when they looked up again, their eyes were full of determination. Zhang Rui nodded with satisfaction, then signaled Shen Ang to step on the law weapon and fly away. Junior brother Shen, Zhang Rui said to Shen Ang in the air. Don't forget that you are also a sword cultivator. Shen Ang was stunned for a moment, but soon understood what Zhang Rui meant. The most important thing a sword cultivator must not lose is the courage to fear nothing. As an inner sect disciple, how could he not dare to compete with the outer sect disciples? Just now he was actually afraid that he would not be able to snatch food from others. This was really a disgrace to the name of a sword cultivator. Thank you for your guidance, senior brother Zhang. Shen Ang also saluted Zhang Rui and looked at this selfless senior brother with admiration. Is this the mind of a direct disciple? Love it, it's nothing like my sister, who always steals my food. Someone at Xuanfa Peak also sneezed. Zhang Rui, who was looked up to by several disciples, felt a strange excitement in his heart. Well, it has aroused the competitive spirit among my junior fellow students, which is really exciting. As a senior brother, I just like the thrill of fighting with others. After becoming a direct disciple, fewer people competed with me for things. Now, this feeling is finally back. A certain sword cultivating disciple with a strange hobby revealed an indescribable smile. The next day, in the mountain forest in the morning light, there is a hint of solemnity. The disciples who were fighting monster also sensed something different. As the aroma passed through the wooden puppet into the disciples' nostrils, it was as if some evil switch had been turned on, and several disciples immediately rushed back collectively. Go for the new limited edition. As expected, the first to attack was Old Six from Wanyan Peak. They still started with Mingbo Jutsu. Beautiful. They didn't hit anyone. Because other disciples already know that the Qifeng Za can no longer be used, if it is not turned on, it is turned off. On the contrary, there were more hidden weapons hitting the sound cultivators today. Looking at the sound cultivator disciple who was screaming and jumping up and down after being beaten, the others all had bright smiles on their faces as if they had achieved revenge. Soon, the contestants came to the minefield again. Oh no, it was the formation area. Several physical training disciples once again took out their meteor hammers, but today they seemed to have made other preparations. A green light suddenly appeared above each of their heads. Green is pure, green is natural, green is eye-catching. It turned out that the physical trainers discovered a drawback after experiencing the big pendulum flying for the first time. That is, if you land on the ground after takeoff in the wrong posture, you may get injured. How to hold a bull if your hand is broken? How can you run if your leg is broken? What if someone overtakes you? Open hollow lens bracket. The word, chow, here refers to speeding such as overtaking or exceeding. Please do not associate it with other things, epsilon winking face close hollow lens bracket. Then the physical training disciples must choose a reasonable and appropriate landing posture. Coincidentally, senior brother Zheng Liang gave them inspiration yesterday, so the physical practitioners went to the magic hall to change to a technique that could improve physical defense in a short period of time, the Qinggang Tonggu technique. After a night of training, the physical training disciples have been able to greatly strengthen the defense of their heads in a short period of time. Next, it's time to test their results. Fly away with the butterfly. Rocket headbutt. Taking off and landing together with the meteor hammer were the physical training disciples who landed on their faces. Very good, I held on. The physical training disciple who pulled his head out of the ground was very satisfied with the results of his training. The other disciples who had stuck their heads into the ground gave their senior brother a thumbs up while trying to pull their heads out of the ground. But before the physical training disciples came out, several disciples from Xuanfa Peak suddenly fell lightly from the sky. They have graceful postures and are much more handsome than the physical cultivators who are stuck in the ground like carrots. How is this possible? How can someone in the Qi sensing realm control Qi and fly? The physical training disciples couldn't believe their eyes. Suddenly, the physical cultivation disciples seemed to have discovered something. There seemed to be a few faint threads sticking to the bodies of these group cultivators. Where does the silk thread come from? No, this is. The physical training disciples immediately realized how these people from Xuanfa Peak had followed them. It's the soul-pulling silk. Use spiritual power threads to pull on other objects and pull yourself forward. These bastards from Xuanfa Peak tied the soul-pulling silk to their body cultivators, then used the Qifeng hood to reduce their weight and landed using the light body technique. Then, just like the meteor hammer carried the physical cultivators also brought the people from Xuanfa Peak over. You shameless bastards are using us as a stepping stone. Ignoring the curses of the physical cultivation disciples, the people from Xuanfa Peak started running madly as soon as they landed, overtaking the physical cultivation disciples who were rooted in the ground and running to the front. Humph, I've finally avenged myself for the last time you exposed the wooden puppet by putting talismans on it. The disciples of Xuanfa Peak sneered, and then sped up their pace. Not far behind, the other disciples who were circumventing the formation saw that the physical and magic disciples were almost out of sight, and they couldn't help but feel anxious. Suddenly, they heard a crazy laugh. What the hell is this formation? I'm going to chop, 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 chop. What the hell is this Mingbo technique? I'll chop, 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 chop. I will chop, 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 chop all those who stand in my way, ha 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 ha. The disciples turned around and were all shocked. FK. The people at Blazing Blade Peak are crazy. What is this? Everyone, get out of here. Several disciples of Blazing Blade Peak formed a circle with their backs to each other, tied each other together at the waist with ropes, held the knives in both hands, and rolled down sideways. The arms are like spokes on a wheel, supporting and spinning rapidly. The blade spiraled down, and in order to make it more powerful, there was even a flame burning on the blade. The disciples of Blazing Blade Peak transformed into a giant fire wheel, burning all the way down, destroying all the grass and trees, and even splitting the mountain road. Where have the other disciples ever seen such a scene? They all tried to avoid them, fearing that if they were a step too slow they would be hit by them. The disciples of Blazing Blade Peak were already dizzy from spinning, but they couldn't stop due to the potential energy of gravity acceleration. Not only were they unable to stop physically, they began to become unable to stop mentally as well. Don't stop. After seeing the others avoiding the scene, many Blazing Blade Peak disciples have realized the true meaning of sword cultivation. Just cut it and it's done. Those who don't want to be stabbed will dodge it. Ha 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 ha, I'm F asterisk 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 G chopping, 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 chopping. No one can stop me, ha 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 ha. The crazy laughter of the Blazing Blade Peak disciples continued to echo in the forest. Not far away, a man in green fur was floating in the sky, his eyes fixed on the smoking and burning forest, his brows slightly furrowed. What are these little bastards doing? Chapter 25. The deputy head is asking questions. Earlier, Zhu Fan was browsing the system mall looking for a suitable new recipe to replace the old version of the resident soup. He had spent a long time pulling noodles yesterday, and wanted to start selling them today, but Xiaoliu couldn't stand it anymore and directly gave him a new task. None, since the host is always lazy, a long-term task is now released. Every time you make a new dish, the first 100 positive reviews will double your achievement points. After the dish is completed, you can get more achievement points based on the evaluation level. For every 100 new diners, you will receive additional cultivation and achievement points as rewards. Closing square bracket. Zhu Fan immediately accepted the task with a smile on his face, and even felt a special sense of relief in his heart. Look. This is all because of my laziness and poor performance that I got today's mission. If I had worked hard before, would I have been supervised and rewarded by the system? Zhu Fan was proud and Xiaolu was shocked. At Koet, I suspect that I was ABC'd by the host, but I have no evidence. Zhu Fan touched the head of a certain artificially retarded dog and smiled without saying anything. People who can be KTV bosses are the real strong ones in the workplace. Zhu Fan flipped through the system's menu, looking for new dishes that could restore health and increase spirit qi, and gave 2 copies to all outer disciples in the morning for daily needs. Then he would make lunch at a fixed time at noon to prevent his disciples from always burying villains in front of his door, which was creepy. However, the pot is so small, and it is quite tiring for him to cook for dozens of people by himself. He still cannot guarantee that everyone will get food at noon. As before, only those who run faster can get it first. For those who didn't get their share at noon, they can get a serving of the usual soup in the evening. Zhu Fan had stewed a lot of soup before and kept it in the ring. If he doesn't send it out, won't the rice cooker sauce be wasted? Rice cooker. I backquote. Beep. Get the recipe. 8 treasures porridge. Effect. Qi nurturing. Beep. Get the recipe. Xiaolong bao. Effect. Increase spiritual power. After selecting the dishes, Zhu Fan got busy. When they were almost done, the disciples in the vanguard rushed back. After Zhu Fan distributed a portion of porridge and a portion of steamed bun to each person, he explained the new rules. Upon hearing his words, the light in the eyes of many disciples almost caught up with flash bombs. So, today, not only is this breakfast a new dish, but there will also be a new dish at noon. The disciples couldn't believe it until Zhu Fan nodded in confirmation, then they burst into cheers. 3 new dishes a day, what a good day. Is it Chinese New Year? The disciples who arrived later had already lost hope, but unexpectedly they found a way out of the desperate situation. Not only did they get their breakfast in the morning, but they also had another chance to turn the tables at noon. Nothing more to say, just go for it. Zhu Fan counted the number of people and distributed meals to the outer disciples, and there were still several portions left. Someone didn't come back. Zhu Fan looked around and found that the disciples from Blazing Blade Peak were missing. Zhu Fan asked other senior brothers about this and got many smiling faces that looked gloating. Ha ha ha, they were just captured by the deputy leader, ha ha ha. If you set fire to the mountain, you will be jailed for life. Those bastards almost burned my butt just now. Now they're getting their comeuppance. They deserve it, ha ha ha. The senior brothers laughed at Zhu Fan while telling him the whole story, leaving Zhu Fan speechless. Oh my god, they even made Hot Wheels. Unfortunately, the rampant extralegal behavior of the disciples of Chidao Peak did not last long, and they were caught red-handed by the deputy leader. Now the disciples of Blazing Blade Peak are being held on the mountain by the deputy leader, and are using the water summoning technique to put out the fire in the forest. I have to say, it's really awesome. Whether it's a machete, a windwheel or a human fire extinguisher, ordinary people can't do such a thing. There are so many talented practitioners. Zhu Fan put the breakfast of the Blazing Blade Peak disciples back into his storage ring, ready to distribute it when they came back. After eating the buns, the other disciples returned to the woods. People from several peaks gathered together and whispered, obviously preparing for new dishes for lunch. On the other side, in the forest, the disciples of Blazing Blade Peak had just put out the flames around them and were being scolded in the dust. At this time, Yusong, the deputy leader of Yanshan Sect, had one clone responsible for training disciples and another clone responsible for putting out the fire. Otherwise, by the time these noobs in the Qi-sensing realm put out the fire, the top of the mountain would be burned bare. After extinguishing the fire on the mountain, Yusong, who had retracted his clone, asked the others with a sullen face. Quote. Do you realize your mistakes? Disciple knows he was wrong. The disciple from Blazing Blade Peak hung his head in dejection. What's wrong? The mistake was using flames when you shouldn't have rolled down. You should have just rolled down with the machete. A straightforward answer from a disciple of Blazing Blade Peak. Kanae Takamatsu. Is this just a matter of rolling? Why did you roll down the hill for no reason? Can't you walk? Yusong's breath got stuck in his chest and he almost cursed. But he still held back his obscene words and just reached out to press the blood vessels that were about to burst. Why do you have to roll? With your skills, can't you just run down the mountain if you have something urgent? The Blazing Blade Peak disciple whispered, because we can't outrun them. Who can't outrun you? Kunlifeng, who threw a meteor hammer into the sky. Kanae Takamatsu. What does this have to do with Kunlifeng's physical training? And the meteor hammer is flying into the sky. Why don't you go to heaven? Yi-Yusong felt that the more he listened to this matter, the stranger it seemed. He suppressed his anger and found out the whole story. After learning everything, not only did I not understand, I became even more confused. What does it mean to rush to eat the pills? Didn't the elders stipulate that every outer disciple would have 3 portions? What was there to fight for? Why do we have to eat pills while they're hot? What? You said that what you stole was not the elixir. It was the dishes that have the effect of elixir. What's more, those dishes are refreshed randomly, so if you don't go early you won't be able to grab them. Kanae Takamatsu. He knew what elixir was. After all, he ate it every day after practicing Taoism. He also knew what stir-fried dishes were. After all, he had eaten them every day before he started fasting. But a stir-fry with medicine function. He recognized every word the disciple said, but why couldn't he understand them when they were put together? Who can cook pill refining dishes? Or who is using a rice cooker to fry pill refining? Yi-Yusong hadn't heard such an outrageous thing in more than 10 years. The last time I heard something so outrageous was when the leader of the Medicine King Palace secretly raised an illegitimate daughter and was beaten up by his Taoist partner. If he was in a good mood, he might be amused when hearing this. But now, looking at these disciples who set fire to the mountain and talked nonsense, Yi-Yusong suddenly felt that what the head brother said was sometimes quite right. A good person emerges under the stick. The disciples of Blazing Blade Peak suddenly felt a chill. Seeing that the deputy head's eyes were becoming more and more dangerous, his hands seemed to be ready to move. The leading disciple suddenly burst out with a strong desire to survive. He took out a bowl of chicken soup from his storage ring and held it in front of Yi-Yusong. It's true. I wish you could come up with a brand new pill refining technique that can incorporate the power of pills into dishes, making them more potent. Bone soup increases spiritual power, and disciples usually drink it on the spot after receiving it. Chicken soup is used to heal wounds and replenish blood, so disciples usually keep some chicken soup in storage rings and drink it when needed. At this time, this chicken soup saved the lives of several disciples. Yi-Yusong's hand stopped and his eyes became shocked. It was not only because of the intoxicating aroma of the chicken soup, but also because he could actually feel the spirit chi in the soup. A more powerful elixir, a purer spirit chi. Chapter 26. What a good senior who cares about the healthy growth of his disciples. Beep. Get the recipe. Stir-fried rabbit meat. Effect. Strengthens defense. Zhu Fan was speechless at the tricks these disciples had come up with recently. After thinking about it, he decided to make some dishes that could increase defense for the disciples. He hoped that they wouldn't always break their bones trying to grab food like they did last time. This rank 2 rabbit monster was the one that Shen Ang had put in the ring and given to Zhu Fan. It was very big and was perfect for making the spicy rabbit head. As for whether wild rabbits can be eaten. On the blue planet, you definitely can't eat wild game casually. But now everyone is stepping on flying swords in the Immortal Cultivation World, so what's the point of talking about science here? Just charge and it's done. Peel and wash, remove the fat on the skin, cut into small cubes with a knife, and soak in water for a second time to remove the fishy smell. After draining the water, add the onion, ginger and pepper powder to the rabbit meat and marinate for a while. During this time, you can prepare other ingredients. The sole ingredient is indispensable. After all, rabbits are so cute, how can we not add chili? Just as Zhu Fan was cutting peppers, there was a knock on the door of the alchemy room. The disciples usually fight fiercely for food, but most of the time they don't disturb Zhu Fan. After all, normal alchemists don't like to be disturbed when they are refining pills. Although Zhu Fan, the fake alchemist, behaves differently from ordinary people, his disciples still maintain the good tradition of not disturbing him, giving Zhu Fan enough personal time to mess up. Maybe one of the disciples needs help with something. Zhu Fan thought so and opened the door. At a glance, he saw the dusty disciples of Chidao Peak, followed by a man in a green shirt. Zhu Fan recognized this man. He was the terrible oppressor who had pressed Master Lu into the alchemy room on his first day here. But why did these senior brothers bring him here? Zhu Fan was confused, but he still politely said, "Hello. Senior, several brothers. Junior brother Zhu Fan, this is our Yanshan sect's deputy leader, Senior Jìyú. He was in seclusion for the past few years, so you haven't seen him." A disciple from Blazing Blade Peak reminded quietly. Upon hearing this, Zhu Fan straightened his attitude and saluted Jìyú again. Disciple Zhu Fan, meeting the deputy headmaster. Jìyú waved his hand and asked Zhu Fan gently. "Just now this disciple gave me a bowl of chicken soup that can heal wounds and stop bleeding, but what did you do?" Seeing Zhu Fan nod, Jìyú's expression became more serious and he asked a few more questions. Zhu Fan had no choice but to retell his previous story. "There's no way. I can't say that the food I cook is so awesome because I have a system, right? Can you let me try other dishes that have medicinal properties?" Jìyú asked with a smile. Now there is only this bone broth and the daily share of the senior brothers. Zhu Fan couldn't refuse the boss's request, and since he still had some bone broth in stock, he served him a full portion. He also distributed steamed buns and porridge to each of the disciples of Chidao Peak, which moved them to tears. "There is another dish that my disciple is preparing. It will take a while before it is ready. It's okay, no rush." As Jìyú spoke, he took out a set of tables and chairs made of white jade from his storage ring, placed them on the ground, and sat down comfortably. Then he lit a fire in his hand to heat up the soup, and savored it mouthful by mouthful with great relish, leaving Zhu Fan and several other disciples stunned. "Why are you guys still standing there? Have you finished your mission today?" Jìyú was not as kind to those disciples from Chidao Peak who set fire to the mountain as he had been before. He glared at them as soon as they arrived. Upon hearing this, several disciples of Chidao Peak were about to leave, but were stopped by Jìyú again. "These are the third-grade elixirs Huichun powder and Sheng's pill. Take them and practice well." Jìyú raised his hand and stuffed a few bottles of pills over. The disciples were immediately delighted and were about to thank him, but the next second, the buns and porridge in the hands of several disciples disappeared in an instant and flew into Jìyú's hands. Several disciples were stunned for a moment. Third-grade pills are the limit of what you can take these days. If you take more, your meridians won't be able to bear it, so I'll take care of these for you. Jìyú smiled and felt that he was really a good senior who cared about the healthy growth of his disciples. Sword Peak Disciple. "Although, we really can't digest too much spiritual power from the elixir, but. Even though they had obtained third-grade medicinal pills that they had never seen before, several Blazing Blade Peak disciples were not happy at all. They looked at the buns and porridge that should have belonged to them with tears in their eyes, wiped their tears, and left this sad place. Then Jìyú turned his head and treated Zhu Fan with a gentle attitude. "You go back and continue making it. I'll just wait here." Zhu Fan. Degree. The deputy leader's change of expression was frightening. "But the bosses are all here waiting for the food to be served, so let's go back to the house and continue cooking." To be honest, it would be a lie to say that I wasn't nervous seeing this figure squatting at the door. After all, the leader of Yanshan was able to slap 3 men from the top of the mountain and send them flying in a rage, so the combat power of the deputy leader should be very strong as well. What made him feel a little strange was that the deputy head's personality seemed different from the one he had seen before. Was it an illusion? The rabbit meat has been marinated almost completely, so Zhu Fan stopped thinking about other things and focused on frying it. Heat oil in a pan and stir fry over high heat. Dry fried rabbit meat needs to be re-fried, so heat another pot of oil after the first frying. When the rabbit meat is cooked until browned, take it out and start stir-frying the peppers. The pungent smell of the chili was brought out by the hot oil, and all the wooden puppets in the house also felt the overbearing smell. The disciples in the mountains moved at the smell, and for a moment the forest was in chaos again. All kinds of magic were used, but due to the lessons learned from the disciples of Blazing Blade Peak, the disciples did not harm the innocent flowers and plants, and only used the magic on their fellow disciples. Jìyú, who was sitting at the door of the alchemy room, smelled the stimulating smell he had never seen before, and felt the desire of living beings for food after a long absence. At the same time, he also felt the fluctuations of spiritual power coming from the mountains and forests. He raised his eyebrows, and a clone flew out from his body, floating in the air and looking towards the direction of the mountains and forests. Yusong was confronted with scenes of disciples rushing ahead, plotting against others, casting spells, and dragging their feet. He was stunned by all those fancy moves and methods. So what those guys said was true. These disciples actually fought so hard just to eat. While watching the show, Yusong showed off 2 plates of xiaolongbao. You know what, it's really fun to watch these outer disciples fighting each other. After a while, several beams of light whizzed over, and Ruan Man, Shenang and others also came over following the smell. Seeing Yusong, several of his disciples were surprised and hurriedly saluted. I was screaming in my heart, why is the deputy head here too? Yusong glanced at a few people and raised his lips, isn't the defense area of Xuanfa Peak to the west? How did you get here? Ruan Man didn't know how to answer. Instead, Zheng Liang, the sly guy, came over with a flattering smile on his face. Deputy Master, you also know that senior brother Wei has a special physique. I hope junior brother can make a wonderful medicine that benefits the internal organs. That's why we came here with Great Master. Seeing that this kid actually pushed him to take the blame, Wei Hengwen couldn't help but clench his fists, but he still stepped forward and responded. Feeling the gaze of Great Master, Zheng Liang couldn't help but want to cover his butt, but when he thought of the deliciousness of Zhu Fan. Well, at worst he would just get hit a few times by his senior brother to calm him down. Is it also effective against Uni's Fen Shin body? Then I'm almost at the level of a middle-grade elixir. Yusong's inner evaluation of Zhu Fan rose a few points again. While they were talking, other disciples also arrived one after another. When they saw Yusong, they were all surprised, and then wailed in their hearts. The deputy head is still here. He hasn't left yet. Gory's Blazing Blade Peak. It's you who brought people here again. Senior brother Shen had attracted so many of his disciples before, that was a lot of delicious food. Now you set the mountain on fire and brought the deputy leader here. UB****************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** at Blazing Blade Peak in the future. The Blazing Blade Peak disciples who had just been driven away by the deputy head and did not dare to go back, and who were still in the forest, suddenly shuddered for some reason. Chapter 27. I have been wandering for half my life, and I have never met a wise master. If you don't abandon me. When Zhu Fan brought the pot out, he felt that the atmosphere outside seemed a little weird. The disciples who were usually noisy were now much more restrained and were queuing quietly. Maybe it's because the deputy headmaster is here. With the senior master here, it's really not a good idea to act rashly. Brother Zhu Fan, let me help you. Zheng Liang was still the same, picking up the pot and starting to serve rice without any hesitation. The tempting aroma of meat and chili left him no time to think about anything else. I'm going to take all of this today. As Zheng Liang spoke, he scooped up the meat with a large shovel and looked at the disciples queuing behind him with twitching eyes. Leave some for us. The disciples in the back row roared in their hearts. Unfortunately, Zheng Liang could not hear the shouts of his disciples at all. He piled the meat so high that if you didn't know him, you would think he was playing with building blocks. Ruan Man and a few others followed suit. Every shovelful of dirt seemed to hit the hearts of the disciples in the back row, and they were so heartbroken that they almost cried. You, the direct disciples, are coming across the district to snatch food from the outer disciples. You are really wasting Zhu Fan's mission. And you are eating so much. Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to digest your spiritual energy? Yi Yusong's sudden words startled Zheng Liang and the others, and made the outer disciples seem to have hope of life in their eyes. That's right, Deputy Master. Educate them quickly. The outer disciples shouted in their hearts. Just as Zheng Liang and Ruan Man were reflecting on themselves, Yi Yusong spoke again. It's really inappropriate for you to do this. Come, I'll send you some medicinal resources on behalf of Zhu Fan. As Yi Yusong spoke, he raised his hand and several bottles of pills flew into the hands of his disciples. Then, before they could react, he raised his hand again, and the meat in the hands of several disciples suddenly fell by half and flew in front of Yi Yusong. Yi Yusong. Carrot, that's all. I'll help Zhu Fan distribute half of the resources, and I'll help you eat the other half. This way you won't delay other people's tasks, and you won't suffer from indigestion. Disciples. W opening parenthesis D W Wang Defa. After these words, the disciples' CPUs were almost burnt out. After careful consideration, what people said was true. The disciples had indeed received the medicinal resources, so they were not worried about not being able to digest too much. But something seems to be wrong. Facing the stunned looks of several of his disciples, Yusong was very calm. Well, you have received all your pills for today, and you also got some more effective middle-grade pills, so you don't have to thank me. Disciple. Is it the middle-grade elixir I want? Is it the increase of spiritual power that I value? Thank you so much, Deputy Headmaster. Several people looked aggrieved, but there was nothing they could do. They could only turn their grief and anger into appetite and rushed towards the remaining meat with big mouthfuls. The bright red peppers sparkled with oil, and the browned rabbit meat was buried under the peppers, like a treasure waiting to be dug up. As soon as the rabbit meat enters your mouth, the dry, fragrant and spicy taste stimulates your taste buds like crazy, as if your whole body is on fire. The meat after refrying is crispy and delicious. Every chewing is a pleasure. The feeling of satisfaction almost overflows from the mouth and goes straight to the top of the head. Dry fried rabbit meat also joined the ranks of rice killers. After a while, the disciples' rice bowls were empty. However, there was not a single grain of rice left, so they could only lick the bowls as a consolation. Yusong also enjoyed the meal very much, but his status as the deputy head helped him maintain his status. He did not stick his head into the bowl like pigs trying to eat food like his disciples. Deputy sect leader, if you can't finish it, I can help you solve it. Zheng Liang licked the plate 3 times and glanced at Yusong again. Yusong had just snatched a lot from their disciples. Although immortal cultivators are indeed physically transcendent, the Zhu Fan dish contains spiritual power and cannot be digested instantly. Yusong glanced at Zheng Liang with a half-smile, snapped his fingers, and 2 clones emerged from his body, one on the left and one on the right, and suddenly they became 3 people eating. No. One Yusong narrowed his eyes and smiled. Zheng Liang is really considerate of his elders. No. 2 Yusong picked up the food elegantly, without speaking a word while eating or sleeping. No. 3 Yusong sneered, his tone hinting at irritability. I'll have old 4 reward you later. All the disciples, including Zhu Fan, had never seen such a scene before and were stunned. The corners of the mouths of several disciples who knew the deputy headmaster's skills twitched. Starting a big fight to grab food. You are really amazing, deputy leader. Ha, ha ha, then, deputy sect leader, please enjoy your meal. Ah, I won't bother you anymore. I'm leaving now. Seeing that he could not gain any benefit and might even be caught by his master for more training, Zheng Liang ran away immediately. Ruan Man and his companions, as well as the outer disciples from various peaks, were also very afraid of Yusong, so they all left, leaving Shen Ang alone at Zhu Fan's place. Some time ago, Zhu Fan asked Shen Ang to help find some ingredients and seasonings, and Shen Ang delivered them after he found them. Zhu Fan handed Shen Ang some thank you gifts, and curiously asked Shen Ang about the deputy head. The technique that the deputy headmaster practices is called the 3 Great Enlightenment method, which can divide the main body into 3 clones. When each clone practices, the main body can gain cultivation, so the practice speed can be tripled. Moreover, the clone will inherit the different personalities of the original body and perceive from different perspectives, which is also very beneficial to the improvement of the state of mind. Shen Ang explained to Zhu Fan while eating a bun. Zhu Fan suddenly realized, no wonder the feeling of seeing the deputy head was different from the last time. It turns out to be a clone with a different personality. Can the clone also gain cultivation by cultivating the main body? The main body can be upgraded while idle, and the experience will be doubled. Even Zha Hui's playful Nanyu isn't this cool. Zhu Fan was surprised. Seeing Zhu Fan's admiring expression, Shen Ang hesitated for a moment, but still tried to dissuade him. Brother Zhu, this technique is extremely difficult to get started with. Many people have spent a long time comprehending it but have not made any progress. Moreover, after practicing this technique, the number of thunder tribulations during the promotion will triple. It is better for ordinary people not to practice it. Zhu Fan. Oh shit, thunder tribulation x3. This technique is a bit too scary. The small flame that Zhu Fan had just raised went out in an instant. I was thinking that the main body would eat, drink and have fun while the clone would do the work. Forget it, I can't afford to offend Thunder Tribulation X3, and I am already very happy with the system. Xiaoliu couldn't help but feel shy when he was suddenly praised, oh, asterisk, hollow down pointing triangle, asterisk, q hehe. Sheneng wanted to say something when he suddenly felt a chill on his back. When he turned his head, he saw 3 pairs of eyes staring at him. Sheneng shuddered, said goodbye to Zhu Fan hastily, summoned the light shuttle and slipped away. Boy, do you want to learn this technique? The first person to speak was No. 3 Yi Yusong. His posture and tone of voice while eating looked very casual. I don't recommend you to practice this technique. People should choose the path that suits them best. No. 2 Yi Yusong has elegant movements and a gentle tone. If you need it, I can help you find a suitable technique. No. 1 Yi Yusong still had a smile on his face, but I don't know why, I always felt that he was full of sinister intent when he smiled with squinting eyes. Zhu Fan was completely confused, and felt that if he continued talking for a while, he would become as mentally ill as the deputy leader. As if sensing Zhu Fan's discomfort, number 1 Yi Yusong waved his hand and retracted his clone. Yi Yusong is the deputy headmaster, and ordinary disciples may not be able to get his guidance. Now he has to personally find a suitable method to help them practice, which shows how highly he thinks of Zhu Fan. Everyone knew about the previous incident with Huang He. All the disciples with some talent were basically taken away by others. Those who were not taken away were either extremely loyal to the sect or had low talent and were not valued by others. But Zhu Fan, the pills he refined at the Qi sensing realm. Cooking has such an effect, could it be that he doesn't have talent? That's impossible. It must be that this child is very loyal to the sect, so he was not poached. The sect does need disciples with high talents, but apart from talents, isn't the sincere heart towards the sect more touching and valuable? The more Yi Yusong thought about it, the more satisfied he became with Zhu Fan. If Zhu Fan knew what the deputy leader was thinking, he would probably just laugh dryly. Deputy leader, you think too much. That person must be crazy to want to dig up the person who almost blew himself to death by exploding the alchemy furnace, right? You can't dig him up and set off some alchemy furnace fireworks to liven up the new owner's mood, right? However, the two of them didn't know what each other was thinking, so the master was kind and the students were filial, and they were in great joy. Although Yi Yusong didn't understand why Zhu Fan's talent was only that of an outer disciple now. After all, he didn't know anything about pill refining. Maybe there was no aperture opening before. Or was he suppressed by the Huang family? Anyway, Yi Yusong has no good feelings towards the Huang family now, and he always sees them from the worst perspective. Considering the talent Zhu Fan has shown now, the status of an outer disciple is too unfair to him. The important thing is, we must never let those good kids who are so loyal to the sect feel disheartened. Thinking of this, Yi Yusong immediately praised Zhu Fan in various ways and scattered a bunch of shining spirit stones on the spot, which dazzled Zhu Fan's eyes. After this monster riot is resolved, you and other alchemists who have worked hard for the sect will receive generous rewards and praise. Although what the deputy head said at this time sounded a bit like empty promises made by the company leaders, Zhu Fan felt that it was absolutely right and was full of expectations. After all, what they promise is real. And the ones that were just sent to Zhu Fan are all shiny gold cakes. If any company can really offer so much, I will definitely invite the guy from Lishan down and promote the boss to that position. Before Zhu Fan could say anything to express his gratitude, Yi Yusong took out another thing and handed it to him. A jade pendant engraved with mysterious symbols appeared in front of Zhu Fan. It looks very valuable at first glance. Before that, I give you this as a personal gift. This spiritual shield generated by the law weapon can resist the attacks of cultivators in the Wachao realm. You can carry it with you to protect yourself. Yi Yusong thought of the restless mice recently and his eyes narrowed. Such a good disciple must be protected. When Zhu Fan heard that it could block the attacks of cultivators in the Wachao realm, he was stunned. The state of transformation. Wow, with this shield, even a guy who is 4 realms higher than me can't do anything to me. Deputy Chief, you are. Suddenly, a sentence popped up in Zhu Fan's mind. I have been wandering for half my life, and I have never met a wise master. If you don't abandon me, you continue to practice. The food is delicious. I will come again tomorrow. Yusong patted Zhu Fan's shoulder, looked in another direction, as if he had sensed something, and turned into a stream of light and fled in that direction. The only ones left at the scene were Zhu Fan and a pile of shining spirit stones. Oh, there are so many spirit stones, how long will it take to count them? Zhu Fan covered his mouth and laughed sadly. In a cave thousands of miles away. Several dark figures were gathered together and chattering. How are the preparations going? It's confirmed. Let's set the barrier in the southeast corner and start in a few days. He, I can't wait to see the expressions on the faces of those guys from Yanshanmen, hehehehe. Open HoloLens bracket words are not counted. Dear readers, rest assured, this is a joyful and refreshing story. The occasional appearance of villains is also for the happiness later, oh no close HoloLens bracket. Chapter 28 Food Defense 1. Just as mentioned yesterday, Yusong also joined the rush for food the next day. It's just that he was stealing the food of his direct disciples. After all, Zhu Fan's main task is to cook for the disciples in Area B10, pill refining, and to help them resist the monster tide. Is it appropriate for a deputy sect leader to snatch food from a group of outer disciples? However, snatching disciples is not called snatching. It is because we are afraid that they will delay other people's tasks, so we help to provide them with resources and elixirs. He was even kind enough to worry that they might not finish their food and help them digest it. Didn't you see that Zheng Liang and the others were so moved to tears by the caring senior master? Wei Hengwen and Ruan Man were more stable. Although it was painful for them to have their food taken away, they did not want to resist. After all, there was a huge gap in cultivation, so what could he do to resist? Just bear with it, at least he could still eat something. As for Zheng Liang, this sly guy, he is a complete mischievous monkey. He was asked to endure being bullied to this extent. Impossible. So, after leaving Zhu Fan the next day, he secretly called Zhang Rui and Shen Ang, and together with Wei Hengwen and Ruan Man, they huddled aside and started muttering to each other. We can't go on like this. Zheng Liang looked serious and spoke passionately. Originally, our disciples can receive 10 portions every day. For the 5 of us, that means 50 portions a day. If half of them are taken away, that means we are missing 25 portions. If we had a few more days, there would have been hundreds less. We must defend our delicacies. We can't let the deputy head take them away again. Ruan Man helplessly spread her hands. Second brother, even if you say so, there is nothing we can do. The deputy head is a powerful person in the Hexu realm. How can we snatch it back? Wei Hengwen and Shen Ang also sighed. Did they want to have their food taken away from them? Still can't beat him. Only Zhang Rui was somewhat interested. Zhang Rui, fighting with the deputy leader. So exciting. Circle upper right quadrant filled, circle upper right quadrant filled. It's definitely not possible to rob by force. We can think of other ways. Zheng Liang suggested. Any other solution? The other disciples fell into deep thought. Try to lure the deputy head away. Then we can finish the meal quickly while he's away. Zhang Rui proposed a solution, but it was quickly rejected. Your method works for other people, but for the deputy leader, just send a clone out to solve the problem, and the original person can eat and drink as usual without any delay. Why don't we just not use bowls and eat directly from the pot? No, junior brother Zhu still has to distribute quotas to other disciples to complete the task. That will delay junior brother Zhu. That's not good. The few of them thought of several ways, but the opponent was too powerful and they had no chance to take advantage of him. After thinking for a long time without a solution, Zheng Liang gritted his teeth and said angrily. Damn it, if this doesn't work, next time I'll spit into the bowl after one serve the food. I don't believe that the deputy head will still snatch it away. The other people were shocked when they heard this, and after thinking about the scene, they felt a little uneasy. Come on, there are so many people watching. Is face more important or food more important? Zheng Liang asked a few people with a squint. Delicious food. The others said honestly. That's fine. As long as I can protect my job, what's wrong with spitting a little? If I wasn't afraid that junior brother Zhu would get angry, I would jump into the pot and take a bath. Then the whole pot would be mine. Zheng Liang exposed his evil ambitions. Others. None, you kid. It's not nice to ruin delicious food like this. Someone suddenly said. Where is it wasted? As long as I can eat it all, Deputy Sect Leader. Sigma, Su degree D degree, Su. Kanai A Takamatsu. Caret. Ruan Man and others. Circle. Operator co-circle. Operator winking face. Several disciples were shocked when they saw Yi Yusong suddenly appear behind Zheng Liang. Yi Yusong stretched out a hand and grabbed the back of Zheng Liang's neck. I just heard you say, what did I steal from you? Zheng Liang, no. Yi Yusong looked at the other disciples in a kind manner. You guys have been eating so much lately, I'm worried that you might have indigestion. You're all good kids, you should understand the elders' painstaking efforts, right? Ruan Man and others. Oh, tee to woohoo, thank you for your consideration, Deputy Sect Leader. Yi Yusong nodded with satisfaction, then picked up Zheng Liang and flew into the air. It just so happens that the fourth brother is resting today. Let him see if you have made any progress in the past few days. Ah! Zheng Liang's screams echoed in the air. The others looked at his receding figure and silently lit a stick of incense for him in their hearts. The third day after the bamboo shoots were taken away. Zheng Liangshuang called the other people together again. Shen Ang and Zhang Rui looked at Zheng Liang with a bruised face and nose, and sighed in their hearts. Even senior brother Zheng's recovery technique failed to heal me. The leader of Xuanfa Peak was really cruel. And senior brother Zheng, why are you causing trouble again today? He really only remembers to eat but not to be beaten. No, we must think of another way today. Zheng Liang was determined to protect his delicious food. I got beaten yesterday just to keep my meal. If I can't think of a way to keep the food, then all the beatings I received would have been in vain, right? So we have to think of a way. Well, if the deputy head can't help, why don't we start with junior brother Zhu? Shen Ang thought about it and decided that he really couldn't beat him at the level of the deputy leader, so he decided to take another route. Previously, when Shen Ang sent various monsters to Zhu Fan would also reciprocate by giving Shen Ang various delicacies, and the two got along very well. Those squatting here are all direct disciples. They must have caught more monsters and they are of higher quality. Junior brother Zhu should not refuse, right? Shen Ang's proposal this time was quite feasible, and the eyes of the other people lit up. But even if we give the monster to junior brother Zhu, won't it be snatched away by the deputy head? Zheng Liang had a bitter face. Ruan Man said, can we go when the deputy head is not here? The deputy head is not always there. How about? Zhang Rui thought for a moment and said, let's go catch a few more snakes. Because I was the one who was poisoned last time, and junior brother Zhu was kind enough to help me detoxify. When Zheng Liang and Ruan Man heard this, their minds were immediately filled with the delicious snake soup, and tears of nostalgia suddenly burst out of their mouths. Yes, if we are also poisoned, we can ask junior brother Zhu to help us detoxify. Then the deputy headmaster will not be able to snatch the detoxification pills, right? Zheng Liang hammered his hand, his face full of excitement. But isn't this a bad idea? Junior brother Zhu seems to be very tired from cooking so much every day. Wei Hengwen, who still had a conscience, was a little hesitant. Brother Great Master, what you said is wrong. Zheng Liang said righteously, we are fighting for the sect. I was poisoned and injured while fighting a monster, so I had to seek help. What's wrong with helping my fellow sect member? When the time comes, we will thank junior brother Zhu for his help and give him the spirit stone. Is that reasonable? Is it also reasonable to give him the rank 4 monster as a material as a gift to him as an alchemist? Maybe next time I can. Slurp. Slurp. Zheng Liang's abacus beads were about to fall out. Wei Hengwen wanted to say something, but he couldn't help but recall the delicious snake soup. Liang Xin. _XZ _. That evening. After lying down for the whole afternoon, Zhu Fan went out to stretch his muscles, and then he saw 5 little purple men. Ruan Man, Zheng Liang, Wei Hengwen, Shen Ang, and Zhang Rui all fell to the ground. I wish you, junior brother. Zhu Fan. Wow W opening parenthesis DW. Chapter 29 Food Defense 2. Just as Zheng Liang thought, Zhu Fan did not refuse to make the snake detoxification soup for them. After all, it gives you spirit stone and monster, and you can also get praise from the system to increase your cultivation level. There is no reason to refuse. However, the ending was a little different from what the disciples expected. Hey, a few disciples, can they beat a rank 4 jade crystal snake like this? Tisk, I really want to ask what the 4th and 5th masters taught them. No. 3 Yusong's personality was obviously a bit irritable. At this moment, he was sitting on a chair, drinking snake soup and mocking Zheng Liang and others. Zheng Liang and a few others, with purple faces, were doing horse stance at the door of the alchemy room, looking very aggrieved at the ridicule. I didn't get to eat any of the detoxifying snake soup. Because Yi Yusong had just stuffed detoxification pills into their mouths, and then asked them to do horse stance while circulating their spiritual power to detoxify themselves. Oh, this snake soup tastes delicious and can also increase resistance to snake venom. It's really good stuff. Yi Yusong sighed as he took away the remaining snake soup. Zheng Liang. Ah, this is too much. Oh, greater than D less than, oh. Deputy sect leader, we hunted these after all. It would be inappropriate for you to take them all. Zheng Liang protested, unable to bear it any longer. I gave each of you a bottle of 4th grade detoxification pill. Isn't it much more valuable than this rank 4 monster? It is because I care about my younger generation that I am willing to make this loss-making deal. Are you guys not happy about taking advantage of me? Yi Yusong said slowly, and the people who heard it looked aggrieved. You call that a transaction? Forcing our mouths open and stuffing pills in them is called caring for the younger generation. Several people's faces turned from purple to black due to anger. Besides, you have already drunk this snake soup before, which has increased your resistance to snake venom. Drinking it again won't increase your resistance much. It's better to let other disciples take some supplements as well. Yi Yusong looked like he was thinking about the sect and drank another bowl of snake soup happily. Several people were so angry that they almost got a stitch in the side while practicing their energy. The 4th day after the bamboo shoots were taken away. This is intolerable. Now even the other few people were angered by the fight, so several of the disciples gathered together again. Anyway, we successfully got junior brother Zhu to take action. Even though we didn't get to eat it, this is already a big improvement. Next, we just need to think about how to avoid being robbed. Zheng Liang's words made them fall into deep thought again. Yesterday, the snake soup was forcibly replaced because the deputy head had the detoxification pill. What if it was something that the deputy head couldn't solve? Ruan Man suggested. After all, the deputy head is not an alchemist, there will always be things he cannot solve. When that happens, he can forget about snatching junior brother Zhu Fan away from us. But is there anything that the deputy headmaster cannot solve, but junior brother Zhu can solve? Wei Hengwen couldn't think of this. After all, a strong person in the Hexu realm was an existence that he couldn't understand. But as soon as he finished speaking, he noticed that everyone was staring at him. Wei Hengwen was frightened by the stares. Why are you looking at me like that? Great master. Zheng Liang raised his arm and put it on Wei Hengwen's shoulder. I can only rely on your help, Ni Xinyan. Wei Hengwen. He looked at them in disbelief, not daring to confirm their thoughts. You want me to use Ni Xinyan to take action? The others nodded in unison. How can this be possible? Wei Hengwen wanted to refuse on the spot. After all, no one knew better than him how much pain Ni Xinyan was feeling from the burning sensation. He couldn't use this to attack his fellow junior brothers and sisters. You wouldn't do that, would you? Although junior brother Zhu's delicious food is indeed, but Wei Hengwen was thinking about those delicious foods and actually hesitated. Then without saying a word, he slapped himself in his heart. They are my junior brothers and sisters. Brothers and relatives and friends. How could we attack them just for a little food? Although I wish you, this is also what the junior brothers and sisters asked for. No, it really can't. The two ideas were fighting fiercely in Wei Hengwen's mind. Brother Wei, as long as you hold back a little, it shouldn't be a big problem. While trying to persuade them, Shen Ang told them about how several people from Sword Peak stabbed themselves with swords just to get some soup. The others were stunned on the spot. No way. This is Asahi Sword Peak. Are you so cruel to yourself? Brother Great Master, if that Asahi Sword Peak can do this, then we can do it too. Ruan Man also spoke up to encourage Wei Hengwen. But Wei Hengwen was still very hesitant. On the contrary, Zheng Liang didn't understand what he was hesitating about. Great Master, why are you hesitating? Don't you always throw fireballs at me? Wei Hengwen glanced at him in confusion. You are different from third junior sister and Zhang junior brother. How can you be compared? Zheng Liang, _ka_angle_. Great Master, your self-evident double standards really hurt me. Several people tried to persuade Wei Hengwen a few more times, but Wei Hengwen still felt that using the heart flame was a bit too much. Seeing this, Zheng Liang simply gritted his teeth and revealed something. Brother Great Master, actually, you said that day that the 8 treasure porridge seemed to be a little less, but in fact I secretly drank a few mouthfuls. Wei Hengwen, right pointing arrow, Nunan. Ruan Man and Zhang Rui and Shen Ang. Sigma degree hollow up pointing triangle degree, senior brother Zheng, you are really brave. A huge fireball exploded in the forest, almost causing another jail term. Danfang Department. Well, it's all my fault for accidentally hurting them. This heart fire is not easy to cure. I wonder if junior brother Zhu has any solution. Wei Hengwen asked Zhu Fan with a red face. Zhu Fan looked at the miserable people who were burned with embarrassment. Senior brother Wei, you are so careless, it's really scary. Senior brother Zheng is almost becoming a familiar person. Physics. Xiao Lu, do you have a suitable recipe for this situation? Zhu Fan called out to Xiaoliu silently in his heart. No recommend the host to redeem this recipe. Closing square bracket. Zhu Fan opened it and took a look. He thought it was quite suitable and the materials used were simple, so he exchanged it. Beep. Get the recipe. Mung bean ice cream. Effects. Heal burns, slightly increase fire resistance. Zhu Fan asked his fellow practitioners to wait for a while and then went back to the house to start making it. First boil the mung beans over high heat, skim off the foam, then after the water boils, turn to low heat and simmer until soft. Cook over low heat for about 20 minutes. Boiling off more water can reduce the amount of ice residue in the finished product. When the beans have blossomed and fall apart when pinched, you can proceed to the next step. Brother Wei, please help me. Zhu Fan mixed mung beans, milk and honey in a bowl, brought it out and asked Wei Hengwen to help. Wei Hengwen listened to Zhu Fan's request, nodded and smiled. Don't worry, junior brother, this is very simple. After saying that, he directly controlled the spiritual power to wrap mung beans and other objects in the spiritual power shield, and then used a whirlwind to roll them in the shield and stir and rotate them wildly. After a while, the fine mung bean paste was ready. All the fans who saw this wanted to applaud and give Brother Wei the nickname of a human meat blender. Then Zhu Fan took out the ice cream mold he got from the system and poured the stirred bean paste into the mold. Brother Wei, do you know any ice magic? Wei Hengwen shook his head. With his physical condition, he couldn't learn ice and water magic. Let me do it. Zheng Liang struggled to get up from the ground, and Zhu Fan quickly handed the things to him. After a while, the ice cream was frozen solid by the ice magic, which was far more efficient than a refrigerator. When the mold was opened, the sweet aroma of mung beans emanated, and that slight coolness seemed to directly dispel the burning pain, making Zheng Liang's eyes widen. Zhu Fan gave everyone one, then took one for himself and started sucking it. The faint aroma of mung beans mixed with the taste of milk spreads in the mouth, and it is so sweet that it goes straight to the heart. The cool and delicate taste seems to dispel all restlessness, making the body and mind feel peaceful and calm. Normally, Zheng Liang and his friends would eat the whole thing in one mouthful, but now, holding the ice cream, they were savoring it slowly and carefully. The cool and refreshing ice cream relieved the pain of the burns and brought great joy to the group. I've never tasted anything like this before, and it tastes so good. No. Tu Yusong appeared out of nowhere, took an ice cream and started to savor it. Deputy Sect Leader, this is for us to heal our wounds. Zheng Liang, whose wounds had somewhat healed, struggled to get up, vowing to protect the precious ice cream that he had risked being roasted to death for. No. Tu Yusong shook his head angrily and amusedly, then turned and left. These little guys are trying too hard. He should let the real master come over and ask them to slow down. He can't persuade them. Watching Yi Yusong's back as he left, Zheng Liang, who hadn't cried even when he was nearly burned by an acquaintance physics, couldn't hold back his excitement, and tears welled up in his eyes. Oh ha 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 ha. I did it. I finally managed to protect junior brother Zhu's delicious food. Zheng Liang started crying while laughing, and his tears told of the hardships he had experienced along the way. Zhu Fan was also very touched when he saw this. Brother Zheng, your ice cream is melting. Zheng Liang. Oh no. Sigma, Su degree D degree, Su La. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 30. Do you want to eat oil cakes? After an extremely heated struggle, several disciples held friendly talks with the deputy headmaster. In the end, the deputy head took a step back, and the food share went from 50 to 50 to 40 to 60. Zheng Liang was very satisfied. Even though this achievement is only a small step, it is a big step towards victory for their disciples after their successful resistance. One day, he will take back all his delicacies. Zhu Fan, who watched the whole process, did not tell Zheng Liang that the deputy head had just gone to see the master of Xuanfa Peak to discuss the education of disciples. As the saying goes, ignorant people are the happiest. Looking at senior brother Zheng's cheerful look, Zhu Fan could only sigh, unwilling to break this joy. A lot of mung bean ice cream was made, and almost all the disciples were happily eating ice cream that afternoon. This unprecedented refreshing dessert captured the hearts of all the disciples, and Zhu Fan's number of positive reviews soared. And this happiness was only experienced by the formation practitioners at Shenzhen Peak. Brother, now all of them can deal with our formation. Several Gourmet cultivation disciples, with bruised faces and noses, sat in the corner with worried expressions. There is no way. If you are the sixth in command for too long, you will always be easily stabbed by others. In the first few days, they were able to use formations to block disciples from other peaks and get to sit in the front row and eat delicious food. But later, as more and more disciples began to realize the situation and took out all kinds of fancy things to deal with it, their advantage gradually disappeared. Especially today, the group of people from Ranqiang Peak actually came out with 2 guns on their backs, and then they waded across on the 2 spears as if they were walking on stilts. Who taught you to use a gun like this? If other gun repairmen see you and don't break your legs, I'll lose. Although they were angry, the formation masters really had no idea what to do. Now other disciples have already found ways to deal with the formation. After all, at their level, they can only set up so many formations, and they don't know how to set up higher levels. The disciples who practiced formation were very worried. Is there no other way? The leading formation disciple sighed. The other disciples were also dejected. Can't give up. A young disciple stood up and clenched his fists. When we first entered the sect, our seniors taught us that if we don't make progress on the path of cultivation, we will regress. If we lose heart halfway, then failure is the only thing that awaits us. We can't give up brother Zhu Fan's delicious food no matter what. After hearing this, the other disciples' eyes gradually became firm. That's right. For junior brother Zhu Fan. We have to cheer up for brother Zhu Fan's delicious food. Zhu Fan, who was not far away, sneezed and looked confused. The leading formation disciple stood up with a resolute look. Let's go. We won't sleep tonight. We'll bury the formation overnight. Before, we spent 1 or 2 hours to lay the formation, so naturally there were many leaks. There are 4 or 5 hours from now until tomorrow morning. Let's bury the road with formations. Let's see how those physical cultivators fly. And there are Asahi Sword Peak and Burning Spear Peak. I'll leave you without even a place to stay. I'll see how you survive. Tonight, this mountain will be transformed into the shape of a formation. As night falls, at the edge of the formation outside the southeast corner of Yanshan, several dark figures who looked not to be good people gathered here and started chattering. The center of the formation that intercepts the monster here is in that mud house. It is the temporary pill refining room that Yanshan gave to the alchemist. Hehe, I heard that Master Yanshan poached a large number of people from Medicine King Palace, and the rest are all crooked. That's right, people are living in mud houses here. Haha, let's be kind and send them off. Don't come here in your next life. Several people laughed grimly. These guys are the demonic cultivators of the Jìyú building. 3 years ago, the Jìyú captured mortals from several villages and fed them with Jìyú worms through their blood. They were discovered by the head of Yanshan who happened to be passing by at that time. The head of Yanshan would not tolerate these beasts, and immediately called for people to grab weapons and wipe out the demonic cultivator family. These few fish that slipped through the net have been secretly trying to cause trouble, but they didn't have the chance before. Now Yanshan is being bullied by the Medicine King Palace in front and there is a monster riot in the back. These guys feel that the time has come to take revenge and cause trouble. I saw these demonic cultivators cut their fingers, drew spells with blood, and summoned a bunch of twisted and crawling poisonous insects. These guys' plan was simple. Isn't Yanshan using a formation barrier to intercept the monster now? Look, I'm going to break your barrier. If you can't stop those high-level monsters, all your disciples will die. As long as we let the monster in, sect leader Yanshan will definitely be busy repairing the formation to intercept the monster, and then I can take the opportunity to take action. I can't beat the head elder, I can't beat the peak manager, so how can I be defeated by those little disciples? Several demonic cultivators could not help but laugh sinisterly when they thought of the heavy casualties among Yanshan disciples and the scene where Yanshan leaders were so angry that they vomited blood but could do nothing about it. He immediately activated the poisonous insect, which turned into black mist and drilled into the formation. The next morning, Zhu Fan started preparing breakfast as before. Baozi has used up his double experience cards, and now he plans to bake some pies. Cut the chicken into slightly larger cubes. Don't chop it too finely to ensure the taste of the meat filling. Add chopped onion, soy sauce, oyster sauce, sesame oil and other seasonings and mix well. When Zhu Fan was too lazy to make breakfast in the past, he would go to the stall downstairs to buy some New Orleans chicken patties. Now he missed the taste a little, so he bought some New Orleans marinade from the System Mall. While the chicken is marinating, you can prepare the pancake crust. When kneading the dough, use half cold water and half hot water. The pancake crust made in this way will be soft and crispy, with an excellent taste. Grease the dough, flatten it, and pack the meat filling. Zhu Fan uses the simplest method to fold the four sides to the middle, make it into a square, and put it on the pan to fry. After a while, the sesame aroma on the outside of the crust will be emitted first. After getting up early, Zhu Fan couldn't help but start eating with an empty stomach. Under the crispy crust is the plump and juicy meat filling, which is oily but not greasy, with rich juice and rich flavor. Every bite is full of satisfaction. Zhu Fan folded and fried the pancakes at the same time, and used his spiritual power to lift up the finished pancakes and feed himself a bite, so he could work and eat at the same time. But from the beginning, Zhu Fan heard a commotion outside the door. It's usually quite quiet. Are the disciples waiting impatiently? So Zhu Fan quickened his pace and went out with a large basket of pancakes. When I went out, I was surprised to see so many people. Many unfamiliar senior brothers and sisters were staring at me, the cake in my hand, longingly, with their saliva almost flowing to the ground. They were all wearing the uniforms of inner disciples and were obviously from other defense zones. No one knew why they came here. The outer disciples from District B10 were staring at the crowd, Shenang and Zhang Rui, with frustration and anger. It was senior brother Shen who brought people in again. There are so many people here, all of them are inner disciples, how can we grab the food? The outer disciples' faces were distorted with anger. But they didn't know that Shen Ang was also complaining at this time. I don't. I'm so bored that I've found so many competitors for myself. God knows how they knew that. Yesterday afternoon, when Shen Ang and Zhang Rui were sipping ice cream at Zhu Fan, the alchemist named Qian who was in charge of pill refining in the Class A area where they were located collapsed and fainted due to excessive fatigue. Upon seeing this, the other disciples hurried to send the person back to the sect, but they happened to meet the deputy leader. The kind deputy head not only personally sent the unconscious disciple back, but also gave each inner sect disciple a bowl of extremely delicious snake soup that could improve resistance to snake venom. That night, the inner disciples ate half of their pillows before going to sleep. The dream was full of snake soup. The deputy head of the guiding light also told the disciples that if they quietly followed Shen Ang and Zhang Rui in the morning, they would have a chance to taste that incomparable delicacy. The inner sect disciples' eyes lit up with gold at that moment. One of them put a talisman on himself and followed Zhang Shen and the others quietly. Zhang and Shen have been flying for so many days and have lost their vigilance. What's more, the group of people behind them have put up talismans to hide their breath. As a result, Zhu Fan was exposed. Now, when the disciples surrounding outside, whether they were inner disciples or outer disciples, their eyes met, sparks flew and a raging war ignited. Especially at this moment, the golden cakes in Zhu Fan's hands were still emitting a rich aroma. The wonderful aroma seduced the disciples' minds crazily, as if asking them a soul-searching question. Do you guys eat fried dough sticks? All the disciples have an unwavering faith. I must eat fried dough sticks today. Chapter 31. Did our plan go too smoothly? Looking at the disciples crowded outside, Zhu Fan scratched his head, feeling a bit troubled. After all, this breakfast is made according to the number of outer disciples, and there is not enough for so many people. The other disciples had sharp eyes. As soon as they saw the number of pancakes Zhu Fan brought out, they knew there were more wolves than meat. Immediately, the outer disciples took the lead in speaking with a fake smile. Brothers, these are the medicinal resources that junior brother Zhu Fan prepared for us. Please make way for them. The inner disciples knew yesterday that this food was not only delicious, but also had the effect of medicinal pills. When the inner disciples thought about how these people had been able to enjoy such exquisite delicacies over the past few days, they felt so envious and jealous that they felt as if a crystal snake was crawling on their bodies. Even if this is your medicine, we are here today to serve as the deputy leader. Deliciousness is here, let's make it impossible. Alas, fellow disciples, you may not know that senior brother Qian, who is in charge of giving us the pills, has returned to the sect due to illness. It was the deputy sect leader who asked us to come here to receive the pills, so today we can only trouble junior brother Zhu. When the inner sect disciples thought of the departed senior brother Qian, they couldn't help but cover their mouths in worry to prevent themselves from accidentally laughing out loud. Senior brother Qian, you can rest assured. We are doing well here with junior brother Zhu. That's not all. Several beautiful sisters looked at Zhu Fan with affectionate eyes. Brother Zhu Fan, we don't have an alchemist to help us right now. Can you go to our place first? We will give the disciples here elixirs, which will not delay your mission. Yes, junior brother Zhu, you take these spirit stones first. I will never let you help in vain. Junior brother Zhu, you are an alchemist who needs spiritual plants, right? The spiritual plants at my senior sister's house are quite big, would you like to come and take a look? Zhu Fan, surrounded by rich women, almost couldn't control himself. When the other outer disciples saw this, they were almost furious. Damn it! We respect you as our seniors, but you actually come to poach our talents. How is what you are doing different from what Medicine King Palace is doing? How immoral. But even so, the outer disciples were unable to stop this abominable poaching behavior for a while. How rich are the inner disciples? I can't compete with them in terms of financial strength. The outer disciples felt as upset as if their wives were running away with someone else. They were overwhelmed with grief and wanted to cry but had no tears. Thank you for your appreciation, senior sister, but it's better for me to stay here. After all, this is the mission assigned to me. Zhu Fan didn't want to move. After all, these seniors and juniors are all talented and speak well. I really like watching them have fun when they fight for food. However, the new foodie mission reward Xiaoliu had given him was quite good, so Zhu Fan added. Brothers and sisters, if you need medicinal resources, I can give them to you according to the quota for inner disciples. Hearing this, many inner disciples cheered again. Then this fried dough cake. The disciples looked at the pancakes with their saliva watering. These are the shares for the disciples in District B10. Please wait for a moment, fellow inner sect disciples. I will make yours now. Although it was a pity that they couldn't eat it immediately, the inner disciples still lined up obediently and waited. The outer disciples who received the cakes and porridge did not leave immediately, but continued to stay here with Zhu Fan. Because they were very suspicious that these poachers would take advantage of their absence and shamelessly do something shady to stage a vicious drama of robbing good boys. Even though junior brother Zhu has said he won't leave, we still have to be on guard. It has to be said that these disciples have been tempered by the two old masters from Shenzhen Peak and Wanyan Peak. It's always right to think of the dirtiest place when you see your opponent first. So, outside the alchemy room, the inner disciples stared at the alchemy room, eagerly waiting for the oil cakes. The outer disciples nearby kept a close eye on the inner disciples to prevent them from being robbed, and their guards were ringing. Area A10. Several dark shadows suddenly jumped out from the defense area where the inner disciples were in charge. They were the demonic cultivators from the colonization building. At this time, they were surrounded by black mist, holding a moth-shaped poisonous insect in their hands and sprinkling some powder on their hands. I have already pried open the barrier here, and I have also set up an illusion array in the sky. Those old guys in Yanshan will not be able to find it for a while. Very good. With the guidance of the scent of the crazy moth and these crazy powder, those high-level monsters will be lured here soon. I knocked down the alchemist here yesterday. There's no one in the alchemy room now. Let's sneak into the alchemy room while those inner disciples are fighting off the monster. After discussing an action plan, they restrained their aura and avoided others. But as I walked, I didn't meet anyone for a long time. Where are the people? Where have they gone? There's no one here, so I've been hiding in vain, right? What's going on? Why is there no one here? One person couldn't help but ask in a low voice. This is indeed the defense zone of Yanshan's inner disciples. Where are they? The other person also looked confused. They had just passed by several monsters. Those monsters were particularly aggressive because of the smell of the poisonous insects, so they were very careful when hiding for fear of attracting people. But no one came. What's going on with you guys in Yanshan? What happened to resisting monster? You guys don't care about all these monsters crawling around. It's already noon, and the inner disciples haven't come to work yet. Are you so lazy and idle? The poisonous insects they raise don't dare to rest like this. Several demonic cultivators were filled with questions. But it doesn't matter if there's no one there. It just makes it convenient for them to do what they want. The demonic cultivators walked for a while and felt the ground shaking. It should be that a high-level monster has followed the smell and is heading towards them. Immediately, they stopped hesitating and stood up and rushed to the alchemy room in Area A10. The journey was smooth and I still didn't encounter any disciples. Humph, Yanshanman, you will pay a terrible price for your carelessness and laziness. The demonic cultivators rushed into the alchemy room with a grin and began to dismantle the formation in the area. The formation masters of Yanshan set up chain formations. Once they break the formations in this area, they will be able to lead these high-level monsters to Area B10. While several demonic cultivators were breaking the formation, several others were standing guard nearby. They were afraid that this was a flaw played by Yanshan, and then dozens of big men would suddenly appear and catch them in the trap. But until they lifted the formation, there was no movement around. It went incredibly smoothly. So quiet it's suspicious. What is going on? Several demonic cultivators couldn't believe how their plan was executed so perfectly. Shouldn't the normal plot be that when he broke the formation, several inner disciples fought back desperately and called for their master, but their master was entangled by the monster and could not help them, and then he started killing with a grim smile, and finally broke the formation in the eyes of his disciples who were unwilling to die. But why is there nothing? No disciples, no resistance. Shouldn't it? Several demonic cultivators were confused and hesitated for a moment whether to continue. Then the leading old demonic cultivator waved his hand and said, "Never mind, just keep working. Now that we're here, the insect has cried, the barrier has been broken, and the monster has been lured here, the plan has been mostly successful. If we leave now, wouldn't it be a waste of work? No matter what happens in Yanshan, at worst I can just run away if there is any problem." Then several demonic cultivators rushed to Area B10 again. I have to say that their poisonous insects and powders are quite powerful. There are already large numbers of monsters with red eyes and going crazy, chasing the demonic cultivators following the smell. The ground began to shake, and you can imagine how huge the number of monsters is. Although demonic cultivator is a little suspicious because everything has been too smooth, the number of monsters behind him cannot be faked. No matter whether Yanshan has any traps, you will be finished if these monsters do something. As long as you suffer a loss, I gain. Several demonic cultivators climbed over a mountain and ran towards Area B10. More and more monsters gathered behind them and chased them more and more closely, making several demonic cultivators a little scared. Don't panic. When the time comes, throw the poisonous insect to the Yanshan sect members, and then we'll run. The leading old demonic cultivator calmed the others down and continued to lead the charge. As he ran, getting closer and closer to his destination, a smug smile appeared on the old demonic cultivator's face. Suddenly, a buzz sounded, and demonic cultivator paused. He looked at the ground beneath his feet in disbelief. Why the hell is there a formation here? Chapter 32. Array Master, all FKU. Looking at the formation under his feet, the leading old demonic cultivator's first reaction was that he had fallen into a trap. Sure enough, even though Yanshanmen has always been the last among the 6 major sects, it is impossible for it to be completely defenseless on its own territory. Those previous operations were so smooth because these people had an ambush behind the scenes. Bah, what righteous sect. They are just using traps and tricks to deal with me. Everyone be careful. There's an ambush. Following the old demonic cultivator's loud shout, the other demonic cultivators behind him immediately stopped and stared at the feet of the leading demonic cultivator with nervous expressions. Humph, so what if I set up an ambush? Watch me break this. First grade cold swamp formation. The old demonic cultivator was just about to show off his prowess, but he found out that what tripped him up was just a first grade cold swamp formation. It was like a Godzilla invasion. I thought my opponent was the one who couldn't play without a red light, but I didn't expect the other side to send out a children's 4-wheel drive vehicle. Even if you can do a whirlwind charge and a tornado, aren't you looking down on me? The old demonic cultivator now feels humiliated. I admit that I can't beat you, but isn't it too much for you to use a first-grade formation to deal with me? He was so angry that his body shook, and he stomped down hard, shattering the formation with his foot. People from Yanshan sect, stop hiding and come out. There's nothing we can do if you find us. Let's fight. The old demonic cultivator was inviting a fight, but in fact he was secretly preparing a way to escape, waiting for the people from Yanshan Gate to show up and give him a chance to slip away. But no one answered, and the old demonic cultivator didn't sense anyone else's presence. What's going on? The top management of Yanshan isn't here. The old demonic cultivator frowned and challenged again. Why? You all claim to be righteous, set traps to ambush me, but you dare not even show your heads. This is really laughable. Still no one responded, only Monster's voice was getting closer. Wasn't this a trap? Was it just an accident? After all, this is where the disciples hunt monsters, so it makes sense to set up a formation to deal with monsters. Besides, if it was really an ambush, wouldn't it be better to use a highly lethal trap against me? What's the point of burying a first-grade mud puddle? It can't be just to get your shoes dirty, right? Thinking of this, the old demonic cultivator felt relieved, turned around and called on others to continue moving forward. The others nodded, as if it wasn't an ambush, and rushed forward again. Then, buzz, buzz, buzz. The faces of several people changed again. Just as they were about to cast a protective spell, they found out. First grade cold swamp formation, first grade soft ivy formation, second grade sand traps formation. Another bunch of broken formations. Several demonic cultivators were speechless. Who buried this? What are you burying these things for in this crappy place? Is it useful to bury these when fighting monster? No wonder you are an outer disciple. You must be sick in the brain to bury these things. The corners of the mouths of several demonic cultivators twitched, then they stomped their feet, crushed the formation, and continued to move forward. Buzz. 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 #FKU. Veins bulged on the demonic cultivators' heads. Array Master, I will FKU asterisk and percent at #asterisk. Are you sick? Is this how you learn the formation? If I had a disciple like this, do you think I would beat him to death? The demonic cultivators in the colonization building, who never wash their faces and have faces covered in black and gray, were so angry that their dark faces turned red. It's okay. Maybe some disciple just buried some formations here to resist the monster. There should be nothing ahead. The old demonic cultivator is annoying too, but you have to move forward as quickly as possible, otherwise the monster behind you won't care whether you are a righteous person or a demonic cultivator. The other demonic cultivators nodded, suppressed their anger and continued on their way. Then, buzz, 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 buzz. The light of the formation illuminated the faces of the demonic cultivators, which were black with red, and red with purple. These piles of first-grade formations were buzzing like flies, endlessly. It just highlights that the harm is not great, but it is extremely insulting. And %@ a demonic cultivator couldn't stand it anymore and uttered a fragrant scent, and then black energy gathered in his hands. FCK it. Let me clear the road. I don't care if there is a formation or not. I will flatten it all. No. The old demonic cultivator pressed the bulging veins on his head and struggled to maintain his sanity. Our shielding magic array can only temporarily cover up the fluctuations of breaking the array and the breath of the monster, but the demonic energy in our bodies cannot be covered. The chi-retaining methods that the demonic cultivators had used previously could only hide the demonic energy on their bodies and some of the demonic energy used when performing body movements. If they used any large-scale magic, the elders of Yanshan would definitely discover it first. The monster hasn't arrived yet. If they are discovered, not only will all their efforts be wasted, but they might even have to stay here. Under the persuasion of the old demonic cultivator, the demonic cultivator dispersed the magic in his hands, but the anger in his heart had doubled. The demonic cultivators are really frustrated. With their level of cultivation, it would be a very easy matter for them to fly into the sky or directly release demonic energy to break through the formation. But he couldn't do that at all, and could only run on the ground step by step relying on his physical strength, and thus endure the arrogance of these birds. But they couldn't help it. After all, they really couldn't beat the head of Yanshan and the elders. We can only continue to implement the plan, and when it succeeds, we will retaliate against the anger severely. The demonic cultivators forbearingly moved forward, and then there was the familiar light, the familiar voice, the familiar formation. Buzz. 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 The demonic cultivators clenched their fists, gritted their teeth, and imagined several tortures in their minds, vowing to capture a few formation disciples to vent their anger. After all, the old demonic cultivator was old and shrewd. He saw that the others were unbalanced, so he spoke to comfort them. Calm down. These formations are harmless. They will only make you step into a mud puddle and your shoes submerged in muddy water, trip over various vines that suddenly appear and make your legs itchy, or suddenly get sprayed with sand in your face, causing mud and sand to fill your head, clothes, and shoes. Old demonic cultivator. Hash filled down pointing triangle min filled down pointing triangle 2. TNND, if I don't capture a dozen array cultivation disciples to feed the poisonous insects, I won't be called demonic cultivator. As the demonic cultivators trudged on, the formation disciples guarding the alchemy room had questions in their heads. Brother, my formation was stepped on by someone. Mine too. Me too. This is weird. My formation was also stepped on. What happened? There is spiritual power engraved by them on the formation, and one will naturally feel it when someone steps on it. The older formation disciple was confused and a little angry. This is the formation they worked so hard to come up with last night after staying up all night. Originally, he was supposed to activate the formations at noon to stop others and allow himself to have good food. As a result, the array cultivation disciples who had been tired all night were so exhausted that they felt dizzy and forgot to set the array to the disabled state in the morning. Originally, since everyone was provided with breakfast, there was no rush to get breakfast. The formation cultivating disciples planned to put the formation in an inactive state after getting breakfast, and then activate it at noon. As a result, for some unknown reason, the formation they dug out overnight was suddenly stepped on by something. Now all the outer disciples are still here guarding junior brother Zhu Fan to prevent the inner disciples from stealing him, so it is impossible that the formation was stepped on by the outer disciples. As the inner disciples had received more shares and Zhu Fan was still busy making them, none of them had received all their shares and none of them had left, so it was not the inner disciples who stepped on the food. That is the formation that monster stepped on. That shouldn't be the case. Although the rank 1 rank 2 monster doesn't have much strength, it is much smarter than ordinary beasts. After stepping on a few formations, you would definitely know to hide or go back. How could you wait all the way here and continue stepping on more than a dozen if it's not enough? How stupid does one have to be to do this? Or is there something wrong? It can't be that you think it's nice to walk in the mud, right? The formation cultivating disciples were very angry and felt sorry for the formation they had dug in the middle of the night. By chance, the brain circuits of the person who set up the formation and the person who stepped on it overlapped. Demonic Cultivator. What kind of beast has laid a formation here? Formation Cultivator. What unlucky thing has stepped on my formation? Formation Repair and Demonic Cultivator. Pa, bad luck. Chapter 33. The advantage is mine. Brother, why don't we go take a look? If this continues, the formation we buried with great difficulty might be destroyed by that strange thing. The young disciple who was cultivating the formation was very sad that the formation he had buried in the middle of the night was inexplicably stepped on and destroyed. Don't worry. The older formation disciple smiled complacently. Have you forgotten what I buried in the middle of that? The young disciple suddenly realized and felt relieved. These formation cultivating disciples work very hard to earn a living, and they study various formations every day. That is to say, out of consideration for the friendship between fellow disciples, they only buried various formations that restricted movements, and never used any lethal formations on their fellow disciples. However, their day and night research was very effective. Their attainments in formations made great progress after the arrival of junior brother Zhu. In addition to the various spiritual power-enhancing delicacies distributed by Zhu Fan every day, 2 of the array cultivating disciples have achieved breakthroughs. One of them is the older array cultivating disciple, who is already in the late stage of the sensing chi realm. If he can further reach the building mind realm, he can become an inner sect disciple. Yesterday he laid down the new formations he learned after the breakthrough, the 3rd grade earth trapping formation and the 3rd grade mist formation. Especially the Uramiguri formation. Although it has no killing power, the spiritual energy turns into mist to attack the eyes, which can cause temporary blindness. In addition, multiple formations work together, and the unguarded rank 4 monster will fall into the hole. If it really is a monster destroying the formation, I definitely can't dodge it. It was just as the formation disciple thought. Although it wasn't the monster that was stepping on the formation, the group of demonic cultivators did accidentally fall into the pit. Just now, many demonic cultivators were extremely angry and furious for a long time. Anger is an emotion that affects rationality. The demonic cultivators lost their composure and stepped on the formations one by one, without any consideration at all. When they came to the 3rd grade formation, they stepped on it without hesitation. The 3rd grade formation did not cause any damage to them, but without any defense, they were indeed blinded for 2 seconds, and then they stepped on empty air. Just like sticking carrots into the ground, several demonic cultivators were stuck into the ground. It's hard to describe how demonic cultivators felt at that time, because the insults were so foul that I can't even say the words. That's not all. In order to lure monsters to kill his disciples, demonic cultivator has been carrying poisonous insects and powders that can attract monsters. As a result, after falling like this, the powder all fell on himself. In addition, they were slowed down by the formation the whole time they were running, and as a result, they were caught up by several fast-running and fast-flying monsters. Go to hell. The old demonic cultivator was so angry that his eyes were about to bleed. This damn formation is already annoying me, and you, a little monster, dare to mess with me. The old demonic cultivator immediately tore the monster apart with his bare hands, killing it with his physical strength alone. The other demonic cultivators were the same, they just took their anger out on these monsters. But don't forget, there have been monster riots recently, and there are quite a few monsters following them. There are also several high-level monsters that were lured from outside the barrier by them. They cannot be dealt with by hand alone. The old demonic cultivator also realized this and called out to the others. We are here to cause trouble for Yanshanmen, not to help them kill the monster. What should I do? The monster is catching up. A demonic cultivator frowned. Not being able to use magic greatly limited his combat power. These tripping formations on the ground made him feel like vomiting. Never mind, just charge. Otherwise, if we are delayed by these beasts and the formation for a while, Yanshan's gang might come looking for us. Let's go to the alchemy room and break the formation before they arrive. Then they won't have time to care about us. Anyway, this area is full of outer disciples with no abilities, so just kill them. The old demonic cultivator acted decisively, black mist filled his body, and he flew away at a burst of speed. The other demonic cultivators thought it made sense. You're right, if they're all scum below the sensing chi realm, won't it be easy to kill them in seconds? I have the advantage, there's no way I can lose. Then all the demonic cultivators stopped suppressing their demonic energy and rushed over there at explosive speed, leaving the monster behind. The formation practitioners at the door of the alchemy room were even more confused at this time. What's going on? There were only one or two just now, but now most of my formation has been trampled. Me too. The young disciples had sad faces. Instead, it was the older formation disciples who felt something was wrong. These large numbers of formations were trampled, so it was definitely not done by one or two monsters, but by a large group of monsters. And as the trampling progressed, it seemed that the group of monsters was definitely coming towards us. The quick-witted formation disciple immediately informed the other disciples present about this matter. Even the inner disciples felt that something was wrong when they heard it. Although the inner disciples didn't understand why these formation masters stayed up late at night to go up the mountain to set up the formation. But there is certainly no need for people to lie to others. If there is a group of monsters attacking, one can see with their eyes. There is no point in lying. If there really is a group of monsters attacking, then there will be a big problem, because there can't be so many rank 2 monsters. There must be something wrong with the formation that leads to a large number of monsters attacking. Everyone, please be patient and let me explore first. Ruan Man asked everyone to be quiet for a moment, then she made a hand gesture and a paper crane appeared out of thin air, then flapped its wings and flew into the forest. Through the eyes of the paper crane, Ruan Man could also observe the scene over there. After a while, Ruan Man opened her eyes in surprise, her face serious. Quickly notify Master. A large number of monsters are attacking, and there are several demonic cultivators. It's possible that the demonic cultivators destroyed the barrier and attracted the monsters. All inner disciples, follow me to form a defensive formation. Outer disciples, return to the sect immediately and inform the others. As a direct disciple, Ruan Man naturally knew that the core of the chain formation was buried in the pill room. If the demonic cultivator group destroyed it, the consequences would be disastrous, so they must be stopped. The outer disciples' cultivation was too low, and staying here would be a waste of life, so Ruan Man asked them to quickly notify others, and preferably find some other combat forces to help. Upon hearing this, Wei Hengwen and Zhang Rui immediately crushed the communication talisman to notify the masters of Xuanfa Peak and Chidao Peak. After hearing this, the other inner disciples were shocked. Although they were a little nervous, they still followed the instructions and started to form the formation. Their direct disciples have stayed to fight fearlessly, so why should they retreat? The outer disciples had mixed feelings. They wanted to stay and fight, but they also knew that it was useless if they stayed, and they might even hold their fellow brothers back. Thinking about how I had to chase my senior brothers away just now to prevent them from snatching my food. I'm really damn stupid. The outer disciples looked at their brothers with tears in their eyes, reluctant to leave. Hurry up. What are you dawdling for? Seeing these guys wasting time, Zheng Liang was furious. Take junior brother Zhu away quickly. He is our sect's precious alchemist, and we must not allow him to make any mistakes. Do you hear me? The outer disciple nodded with tears in his eyes and pulled Zhu Fan away. Zhu Fan naturally heard what Ruan Man said just now, and struggled and refused to leave. Wait a minute. Brother, obedient. Wei Hengwen's face was full of seriousness. You are only a pill master at the Qi sensing realm. You can't fight against the monster if you stay. Let's go. No, I mean. Zhu Fan was about to speak, but was interrupted again. Brother Zhu, you are extremely talented and will definitely be of great help to the sect in the future. You must not fall here because of your impulsiveness. Ruan Man also spoke, directing the other disciples to quickly take Zhu Fan away. Brother Zhu Fan, if you continue like this we will have no choice but to knock you out and send you back. It was rare that Shen Ang was willing to make a joke. Zhu Fan was speechless, and then he roared with his spiritual power. I have a magic weapon given to me by the Deputy Master. Can block the attack of Huachao realm. Zhu Fan yelled so hard that his throat hurt. Everyone who heard it was stunned and looked at each other in bewilderment. A shield that can block the Huachao realm. Hey, you should have said it earlier. Look, we are already so excited. This is just a waste of our feelings. Zhu Fan, did you give me a chance to speak? #_. So, when the demonic cultivators rushed out of the forest, they saw Several inner disciples were arranged in formation, with several direct disciples standing in front, and in front of them was a thick layer of spiritual power shield. Demonic cultivator. Where did these direct disciples come from? And what the hell is this shield? Shouldn't this be just outer disciples? What the hell is this? Chapter 34. We must not let it run away. The current screen looks like this down-pointing arrow. Yanshan disciple, hollow down-pointing triangle. Shield 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 shield. Shield 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 shield. Type. Demonic cultivator sad-faced circle dot operator co-circle dot operator winking face. Type. Chasing here. Violent monsters. Type. The moment the old demonic cultivator led his men out of the forest, he was stunned when he saw so many inner disciples and direct disciples in front of him, as well as the spiritual shield that looked very thick. This shouldn't be the case. They had clearly investigated and peeked from a distance, and this is indeed the place for outer disciples. Where did so many people come from? Demonic cultivators are difficult to deal with. The leader, the old demonic cultivator, stood there in a daze for a while, then seemed to understand something and immediately started cursing in anger. I understand. This is indeed a trap set by Yanshan. First, they pretended to be defenseless and lured us in. Then let me successfully destroy the first formation, and use the joy of success to make us become careless. Finally, they took advantage of our fear of revealing our demonic energy and used those disgusting formations to torture and humiliate us. After the old demonic cultivator explained, the other demonic cultivators also reacted, and they were furious, pointing at the disciples and shouting. With such despicable means, you are worthy of being called a righteous sect. How shameless. What a bunch of beasts. The disciples who were scolded by demonic cultivator were angry and confused. What the hell? You demonic cultivators, coming to my house to cause trouble is already very unethical. Then he said some strange words for no apparent reason and even dared to scold us. Do you really think we don't have temper? The first one who couldn't stand it was Zhang Rui. He was a belligerent person to begin with, and now he was being bullied by these demonic cultivators. How could he stand this? He immediately took up his sword and demonstrated to his fellow disciples at Blazing Blade Peak the true meaning of sword cultivation. Just chop, chop, chop and it's done. Of course, Zhang Rui is definitely not a brainless person. First of all, these demonic cultivators are definitely not at the Wachao realm. If they were, they would just join forces to smash your shield and then start killing people. Would they need to be talking nonsense here? Therefore, the highest level among these guys is Jade Mansion realm, then we can compete with each other. Although Zhang Rui is still one level lower than others now, his disciples are all prodigies who are 1 in a million. How can he be called a genius if he can't defeat monsters above his level? Even if they really can't win, don't they still have the shield? The disciples have a lot of life-saving items on them. They can just run back into the shield and watch the opponent's helpless rage. Seeing Zhang Rui attacking, the old demonic cultivator did not dare to be careless. He raised his hand and released countless poisonous insects from his dark sleeves, which pounced on Zhang Rui. Zhang Rui's expression remained unchanged, and he danced with the sword in his hand with great force. The sharp wind from the sword tore countless poisonous insects into pieces, and then he used his spiritual power to attack the old demonic cultivator directly. The old demonic cultivator was beaten back step by step, feeling very frustrated. Originally, he was not a man of extraordinary talent, but if he had that talent, wouldn't it be good for him to join a large sect and live a good life? It's because I don't have any talent that I have to resort to unorthodox methods to become a demonic cultivator. He would be chased and hacked by a young disciple and would be so embarrassed. Seeing their leader being beaten, the other demonic cultivators could not sit idly by and summoned various poisonous insects to attack Zhang Rui. But Zhang Rui is not fighting alone. Huge fireballs exploded one after another with terrifying heat, and countless poisonous insects screamed and turned into black ashes. Several demonic cultivators that were closer were also unable to avoid it and were hit by Wei Hengwen's attack. Du Nixinyan directly invaded their bodies, causing severe pain in their internal organs, causing these demonic cultivators to scream in pain. Ruan Man and Zheng Liang also attacked successively, beating the demonic cultivators so hard that they were at a loss. He never expected that these disciples would be so powerful. Realizing the crisis, the old demonic cultivator broke out in a cold sweat. He was about to retreat when he felt that the monsters were chasing him, so he immediately called out to the other demonic cultivators. The monster is coming, hurry up. Upon hearing this, the demonic cultivators burst into demonic energy and threw the crazy moths and powder in their hands towards the disciples. Although they didn't know what they were throwing, it was definitely not something good. The disciples subconsciously dodged backwards, which gave the demonic cultivator group a chance to escape. Several people turned into black smoke and fled quickly. Zhang Rui was about to chase them, but Ruan Man stopped him. They can't escape in our Yanshan territory. What's important now is to deal with these. Several high-level monsters rushed out of the forest. Under the influence of the powder, their eyes were red and they were extremely violent. Several rank 5 monsters and a rank 6 monster stared at the disciples with their bloodthirsty eyes. If they hadn't seen the shield blocking them, they would have rushed over and crushed these humans. Ruan Man and the others, who were leaning against the shield, were not panicked at all. Although the rank 6 monster was a bit dangerous, they only needed to hold it off for a while and wait for their master to arrive. Moreover, because those demonic cultivators were covered in drug powder, a group of monsters were also taken away, which greatly reduced the pressure on the disciples. The thick shield gave him a sense of security. Zhu Fan poked his head out to look at the largest monster and exclaimed. What a big cow! The cow was as big as a small truck, with majestic horns, strong muscles, a sturdy body, and a strong look. Zhu Fan looked at such a big cow and expressed his true thoughts as a foodie. How many meals can a cow this big provide? How many meals do you eat? How much to eat? Eat. Practitioners are so sharp-eared and bright-eyed. Moreover, now that everyone is gathered together, how could they not hear what Zhu Fan said? The disciples first looked at Zhu Fan, then turned to look at the rank 6 golden-horned rock bull that was in the lead. The eyes gradually changed and the atmosphere became increasingly tense. Zheng Liang immediately yelled, everyone, find a way to keep the cow. Zheng Liang was very anxious, fearing that the demon bull would also be attracted away by those demonic cultivators. We can't let it get away. I wonder if Taoist thought the disciples were the superior party after hearing this. But now it is clearly the disciples who are surrounded. Zhu Fan was stunned by this guy's shout. Fearing that Zheng Liang was going to rush out with others, he hurried to stop him. Fortunately, everyone still had their brains and did not act on impulse to give away their lives. Instead, their desire for food gave them countless inspirations, and they came up with various ways to harass the rank 6 monster bull. Some disciples used food to lure the demon bull and took out spiritual fruits to throw at it. Some disciples tried to attack the opponent's mind by taking out several corpses of bull monsters and trying to provoke them. There was also a disciple who wanted to use a red cloth to attract the opponent's attention, but because there was only white cloth, he suddenly had an idea and called on his fellow disciples to stab themselves with swords together, dyeing the cloth and clothes red with blood, and then wandering wildly in front of the monster. The person standing next to the disciple was stunned and had blood all over his face because of these lunatics for no reason. What's going on with you guys at Asahi Sword Peak? Are you so cruel to yourself? Chapter 35 I can't stop at all. Although the disciples' behavior was a bit strange, they did succeed in attracting the bullhead's attention. This guy was already in a very irritable mood under the influence of the powder. How dare you do this? The angry Minotaur roared, gathered the monstrous power of his horns, exerted force with his feet, and charged straight into the shield. With a loud bang, the bull demon's huge horn hit the spiritual shield fiercely. The spiritual shield glowed with light, and the forces of both sides continued to confront each other. In addition to the bull monster, other monsters also began to attack the shield, trying to consume the power of the spiritual shield. The disciples inside looked at the shield that was constantly flashing and suddenly felt a little weak. Isn't that a bit inappropriate for us to do that? Zheng Liang raised his hand to wipe the cold sweat from his head. He really didn't expect that this bull demon was so fierce. Now you know. Weren't you quite arrogant just now? No. 3 Yusong suddenly appeared and raised his hand to hit Zheng Liang on the head. Zheng Liang covered his head, his eyes shining. Deputy Sect Leader. You are finally here. I just came here and saw you guys were having a lot of fun. Yi Yusong glanced at several disciples, especially those stupid sword practitioners who poked themselves, scaring them so much that they shrank their necks. Ahem, deputy head. Zheng Liang smiled widely, then grabbed Zhu Fan and pulled him over. Junior brother Zhu Fan can use this demon bull to make very effective dishes, right, junior brother? That's why we don't want to let this demon bull go. Feeling his senior brother's gaze full of desire to survive, Zhu Fan could only nod helplessly. Really? All right. Yi Yusong's attitude towards Zhu Fan was so gentle that Zheng Liang felt his heart was hurt again. Would it be more convenient for you to make the work if you left the cow's body intact? Yi Yusong asked Zhu Fan, and after receiving a positive answer, he walked towards the rank 6 demon bull. The demon bull seemed to sense that the newcomer had ill intentions and stopped attacking the shield. He was about to take 2 steps back, but it was too late. Many disciples did not see how Yi Yusong did it. They only saw a flash of white light on the demon bull's head, and a huge hole pierced through the demon bull's brain. Its huge body lost its support in an instant and collapsed. Yi Yusong released the pressure of a big boss in the Hexu realm, and the other monsters were immediately frightened and turned around and ran away. But Yi Yusong had no intention of pursuing. Deputy Sect leader, don't we need to take care of those monsters? Zhang Rui asked as he looked at the fleeing monsters. Yi Yusong waved his hand. It's okay, your master will take care of it. I can't do all the work and leave him idle, right? Zhang Rui. I feel sorry for master for a second. And shouldn't you care more about this than the stuff that got away? Yi Yusong smiled and pointed at the demon bull on the ground. Listen to Zhu Fan's instructions and move quickly, so that you can enjoy the new delicacies earlier. The disciples were stunned for a moment, then burst into cheers. On the other hand, Zhu Fan didn't react. Huh. Has such a big crisis been resolved? How come it's almost time to cook? Isn't this a bit outrageous? If you don't know, you might think you missed an episode. Yi Yusong seemed to have guessed what he was thinking and smiled at him. In fact, I already discovered those demonic cultivators a long time ago, but I just let them in for fun for other purposes. You must have confidence in the sect. No matter what happens, the sect master and the elders will always be at the forefront. Now, all you have to do is think carefully about how to hold the celebration banquet. Zhu Fan felt relieved when he heard this. Is this the sect? Zhu Fan looked at the enthusiastic smiles of the disciples around him and couldn't help laughing. So many people are going to eat at the celebration banquet, so the beef. Zhu Fan thought for a moment and came up with a way to get everyone to eat quickly, and immediately directed everyone to get busy. The physical training disciples lifted the cow, the sword training disciples skinned the cow, and the magic training disciples used the water summoning spell to wash the meat. Many disciples became busy with the joy of a good harvest. Zhu Fan, on the other hand, uses a large pot to boil beef bones to use as hot pot soup base. He plans to make Chaoshan beef hot pot. This kind of hot pot can be said to be a way of eating beef that brings out the freshness of the beef to the extreme, especially this cow, which is so fresh that it can't be fresher. Moreover, shabu shabu hot pot does not require a long time to prepare, and the disciples can quickly enjoy this delicious dish by just working together. The beef bone soup base of Chaoshan hot pot is better to be clearer, so Zhu Fan simply put some white radish and corn in it so as not to steal the flavor of the beef. While the soup was cooking, Zhu Fan prepared the various ingredients needed for the dipping sauce. It goes without saying that mashed garlic and coriander are essential. Oyster sauce and light soy sauce are also indispensable. For those who like spicy food, Zhu Fan cannot be without chili pepper. Especially the shacha sauce, which is simply the soul of Chaoshan hot pot. Considering the number of people, Zhu Fan used achievement points to buy several cans of shacha sauce and sesame oil in the system mall. Zhu Fan then took a knife and, with the help of other disciples, cut the meat from different parts of the cow, and then cut it into slices of different thicknesses according to the different parts. For example, the breast fat should be sliced thinner so that it cooks faster and has a crispier texture. The pork toe part can be cut a little thicker so that it tastes better. As the aroma wafted from the pot, many disciples could not help but start swallowing their saliva. Because Zhu Fan said this was a completely new way of eating, the disciples were looking forward to it. The disciples' rice bowls are all large basins made by Artifact Peak. They are large and deep, and quite suitable for making hot pot for one person. Zhu Fan added soup base to each disciple's large basin, told them to use fire magic to keep the soup heated, and then distributed the beef to the disciples. The disciples had never tried this method of just blanching it a few times and then eating it, but no one would doubt Zhu Fan. They would take the fish out when Zhu Fan said, for fear that if they took it out too late, it would affect the taste. The moment they dipped the food in the sauce and put it in their mouths, the disciples' eyes widened. The extremely fresh beef, paired with the rich-tasting dipping sauce, sweeps over your taste buds like a tornado. It is truly unforgettable and you can't stop eating it. The steaming hot pot made the disciples feel so happy that their hands were no longer under their control. They just moved the meat up and down and then quickly put it into their mouths. The breast is rich and crispy, the 5 floured toes are elastic, the dragon-shaped beef is soft and tender, and the marbled meat is rich and chewy. Each piece has a unique taste, but they are all equally delicious. The disciples ate without even raising their heads, and were afraid that taking the soup and the meat would waste time, so they used their spiritual power to get the meat directly so that it would come to them faster. For a moment, all kinds of meat were flying in the sky, making Zhu Fan dazzled. I can't stop. I can't stop at all. No matter how much meat Zhu Fan cut, whenever he looked up, there was always nothing in front of him, as his disciples had already taken it away using their spiritual power. If they were not afraid of delaying the meal, the disciples would probably fight over the meat. The two Yusong sat at the table and ate with great relish. After all, no disciple could snatch the meat from them. Oh, it's such a good thing, it would be a pity to eat less. No. One Yusong sighed as he ate. It's okay, it will be solved soon. No. 3 Yusong keeps showing off his body like crazy. In the forest several miles away, the fleeing demonic cultivators finally got rid of the monsters chasing them and sat on the ground, panting. Hurry up and keep going, otherwise those people from Yanshanmen. The old demonic cultivator was also exhausted, but he still urged the others to leave quickly. Suddenly, he froze and a huge bloody hole suddenly appeared on his chest, and one could even see the other side through the hole. The old demonic cultivator's body fell to the ground, and the other demonic cultivators looked at the man in green shirt who suddenly appeared in horror. It is a great pity that we cannot enjoy such delicious food. No. Tu Yusong sighed, looking at the demonic cultivators who had caused him to miss out on the hot pot. Please don't waste any more time and reincarnate as soon as possible. Chapter 36 Let them beg me. The disciples were lying on the ground in all directions, they were so exhausted that they could hardly move. Everyone was touching their round bellies with a satisfied smile on their faces. There was indeed something wrong with the picture. A pooh sound suddenly rang out, and some disciples immediately frowned, looking around with disgust to see which disciple was so uncivilized as to fart in public. Then, for some reason, another series of puff 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 sounds were heard, and several disciples who heard it immediately cursed. What are you doing? Gathering together to fart. Yes, I just finished my meal. But then, the disciples suddenly discovered that it was not the sound of farting, but several disciples were pushed to break through by the spirit chi contained in the beef. The sound of air leakage is also caused by too much spirit chi being given, which cannot be fully absorbed and leaks out. There was a young disciple who was at the 4th level of body tempering realm. He managed to reach the 6th level of body tempering realm with 2 consecutive jumps, and was only 1 step away from the 7th level. There were also a few disciples from the body tempering realm who were just about to make a breakthrough but were directly sent to the chi sensing realm. Even the inner disciples who were building their mind state were greatly shocked when they felt the abundant spiritual energy flowing into their dantian. Who would believe that eating a meal can improve your health so much? What are you all standing there for? Go to the spirit room and stabilize your realm. Don't waste the treasure that Zhu Fan has carefully crafted. Yi Yusong raised his hand and several rays of light flew towards the disciples, disciple cards. The disciples could then directly enter the spirit room without spending contribution points. After thanking Zhu Fan and Yi Yusong, the disciples left quickly. Okay, the noisy guys are gone. Zhu Fan, please go cut some more meat. The deputy leader smiled and took out the hidden soup base and dipping sauce. Deputy sect leader, can you still eat more? Zhu Fan was shocked. When snatching the meat just now, the deputy leader was so ruthless that the piles of meat in front of him were gone in the blink of an eye. I naturally have some spare energy. No. Yi Yusong suddenly appears, and after dealing with the demonic cultivator, he can enjoy the delicious food with peace of mind. Zhu Fan. 6. The deputy headmaster's technique not only has an amazing training multiplier, but also doubles the appetite. While clone number 2 was enjoying the delicious food, Yi Yusong's original body looked at the cow body with only bones left and couldn't help but sigh. It's a pity that after the monster riot is over, we can't wait for the delicious food to come to our door. Deputy Master, has Monster found a solution? Zhu Fan asked curiously. After all, he had heard from other disciples that this monster riot was quite serious. It could have been resolved long ago, we just wanted to delay it. Yi Yusong smiled and explained to Zhu Fan in the surprised look. Although this monster riot was huge, it was just monster race putting pressure on us and trying to get some benefits. After all, no matter how arrogant they are, they don't think they can defeat Yanshanmen with just a group of monsters that are less than rank 7. Zhu Fan was surprised, but I heard that it was because the monster kings above rank 8 were stopped by the elders. Of course we stopped them outside, because we want to negotiate. They wouldn't be willing to negotiate in our sect's main hall. Yi Yusong laughed and said, they are asking for exorbitant prices, sending some miscellaneous soldiers to exert pressure, and dragging on for 10 days or half a month just to get more benefits. We are willing to spend time with them. First, we don't want to suffer losses. Second, we want to train our disciples, combat abilities and hunt for materials. 3 times, Yi Yusong's smile turned a little cold, just to wait for certain people to take action. Unfortunately, only a few small bugs came and no real big fish were attracted. Zhu Fan understands. The top leaders of Yanshan pretended that the situation was serious. While training their disciples, they also wanted to conduct a sting operation and wait for their enemies to come to their doorstep before counterattacking. It's a pity that the other party didn't make a move, so a few demonic cultivators rushed over and killed him for nothing. As expected of cultivators who have lived for so many years, each of them is really cunning and sly. We only told these things to our direct disciples. Neither the inner disciples nor the outer disciples knew about it. The missions issued by the sect made the disciples think that this was a tough battle, so they all worked very hard. As a result, the elixirs were consumed faster, which really made our alchemists work hard. As Yi Yusong was talking, he circled back to Danju Peak. You were suppressed by the Huang family before, and the sect will definitely compensate you. If you have other requests, I will also try my best to meet them. Yi Yusong still thinks that Zhu Fan is only an outer disciple and is suppressed by Huanghe and his gang of unethical people. Naturally, he does not want to let such an outstanding disciple be disappointed in the sect. The talent that Zhu Fan had demonstrated was far beyond that of ordinary disciples. Yi Yusong felt that Huanghe's previous disciples were not even worthy of carrying Zhu Fan's shoes. If it wasn't against the rules, he would have wanted to directly give Zhu Fan the title of Hall Master or Elder. However, Zhu Fan failed to understand what the deputy leader meant. Ah. Did Huanghe and his group suppress the original owner? I don't seem to remember it. Who would have the time to suppress a newbie who blew up a furnace? Is there anything worth criticizing? Do you think the furnace he blew up looks better? Zhu Fan was puzzled, but didn't say anything. After all, the deputy leader said that he would compensate him, so he could make any request he wanted. He would be a fool if he didn't want the benefits given for free. Zhu Fan immediately said that what happened before was nothing, it was not the sect's fault, and I am embarrassed to accept the compensation from the deputy leader. Moved by this tolerance, Yi Yusong immediately said that this was what the sect owed him and he must give it to him. I will double the original amount for you. The scene was harmonious, beautiful and harmonious for a moment. The two chatted about monsters again, but Zhu Fan still had some questions. Deputy leader, according to what you said, monster race only sent troops here to put pressure on us, but aren't they angry that so many monsters were killed? Because the soldiers they sent here are just dumb soldiers, not their main fighting force. Yi Yusong explained. In monster race, only those with intelligence can be called true monsters and can cultivate to a higher level. Monsters without intelligence cannot break through to rank 7 and can only be used as cannon fodder in the charge. Monsters can give birth to several babies at a time, so monster race doesn't care about this loss at all. If they can use these small fish to exchange for more benefits, they will make a lot of money. Previously, I saw the disciples hunting monsters every day to earn contribution points. They killed so many, but the monster race didn't retreat. I thought they were just stubborn. After hearing what Yusong said, Zhu Fan finally realized that this monster race was not just silly. You've noticed that there have been more monsters appearing recently. That's because monster race is getting a little anxious and wants to get more benefits quickly. And the reason I'm telling you so much now is naturally because I hope to use your ability to resolve this matter. Yusong expressed his true thoughts. Zhu Fan disagrees. How do I solve this? Monster race came here this time to get a large amount of spiritual fruits and plants, because they can't fast, so they naturally need to eat. Kanae Yoshimatsu smiles. I believe that no one in this world can resist your craftsmanship. Oh, the deputy leader wants me to make some suitable food to negotiate and make them stop attacking. No. Yusong's eyes were filled with coldness. They want benefits, so they raise an army to attack, and then take away your rare treasures for free. How can such a good thing be so cheap? Not only will I not give them a single step, I will also make them beg for mercy. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 37. The head of Yanshan is really good at chatting. After taking on the task of deputy head, Zhu Fan began to look for any suitable recipes. According to Yusong, we should keep the best things for ourselves and use the inferior ones to catch monsters. It would be best to take some worthless ingredients and exchange them for their treasures. I heard that the monster king leading this time is a wolf monster. Zhu Fan has never fed a wolf, but the husky at his friend's house will go crazy when it sees bones, so making some bones should be appropriate. And you can keep the meat for yourself. Asterisk hollow down pointing triangle. Beep. Get the recipe. Sauce bones. Effect. Strengthen bones. Zhu Fan unceremoniously sliced off a lot of meat from the bones, leaving only a thin layer. Pork bones still need to be blanched in water to remove the foam so as not to affect the taste. Wolves and dogs should both have a very keen sense of smell, right? Zhu Fan doesn't want some flaws to affect the taste of the finished product. Then heat the oil, add the rock sugar when the pan is hot, and stir-fry continuously until it melts. Be sure to keep stirring the rock sugar during the frying process. If you stop, the bottom will easily get burnt. After the rock sugar is fried into a date red color, add a large amount of boiling water, dark soy sauce, soybean paste, oyster sauce and other seasonings. Small ingredients such as bay leaves, fennel, star anise, cinnamon, etc. are also indispensable, as they are the key to the multi-layered flavor. Throw in the bones, cover the pot, and wait for about 40 to 50 minutes. While waiting, Zhu Fan prepared several other foods for different monster races. Because all the disciples went to the spiritual room to practice, Zhu Fan became unusually quiet. Yusong was left alone to enjoy the delicious meal with satisfaction. But when he thought that such a good thing would fall into the hands of monster race, he felt unhappy and ate 2 more root boneheads in anger. When it was almost time to eat, Yusong got up with his food and flew out. At the junction of Yanshan outskirts and Demon Mist Forest, the head of Yanshan, Jìyú, and a group of elders set up the law weapon room, sat on chairs, ate tea, drank wine and chatted, completely ignoring the monster race next to them. During a negotiation, whoever gets impatient first loses, so no matter what, put pressure on the other party first. Not to be outdone, several Monster King generals, led by the Wolf Monster King, called on a few beautiful foxes to dance to add to the fun. However, human aesthetics cannot really understand what these little foxes are doing, and some even suspect that it is the monster race, so they become secretly alert. While eating tea and drinking wine, jumping around. Finally, when the foxes were too tired to jump anymore, the Wolf Monster King couldn't bear it anymore. Do you, Yanshanman, have any intention of negotiating? I'm not interested in wasting my time with you. Several elders then looked over. What do you mean, Wolf Monster King? Didn't you invite us to talk? Logically, you should speak first. Alas, they are monster race after all. They don't know etiquette. Please give them some tolerance. The Wolf Monster King snorted coldly and threw a piece of paper over. Okay, Then I say, give us the things on this list, and we'll leave here immediately. An elder opened the list and laughed out loud. Yo, this joke about Wolf Monster King is pretty funny, hee hee hee. Then he lit the list and burned it while laughing. The Wolf Monster King gritted his teeth, and the shapes of blood vessels were faintly visible under his fur. I'm not kidding. Can you, an elder, make decisions for your entire sect? The elder who burned the list thought for a moment and responded. That's true, then please ask Wolf Monster King to show the list to others. I burned it all for you, how can I show it to others? Wolf Monster King roars. Stop playing dumb with me, I want those things. Oh, it's easy to forget things when you get old. I really forgot what was written on the list of Wolf Monster King. How about you write another one for me? The elder's face was full of sincerity. You forgot something. Humans in the chi sensing realm can remember everything they see. How can you forget something at this level? The Wolf Monster King was really angry. He felt like he couldn't win an argument with these humans anymore and he wanted to pick up a weapon. At this time, the Deer Monster King next to the Wolf Monster King stepped forward and said with a smile. You guys at Yanshan are really courageous. You don't care about the disciples who are fighting hard at all. But recently I heard that a certain peak master of Yanshan seemed to have taken a lot of alchemists to other places. If you keep wasting time like this, will you have enough pills? The faces of the elders of Yanshan suddenly became ugly. It's not that he was afraid of the threat, but his blood pressure was high because he was so angry about the inhumane behavior of the Medicine King Palace. Damn it, if it weren't for these monster race beasts causing trouble at this time, we would have already rushed to the Medicine King Palace with knives and killed everyone. Several irritable elders looked at monster race with increasingly unfriendly eyes. The Wolf Monster King didn't understand what these people meant at all. He thought they had been hit in a sore spot and felt happy. Anyway, those monsters without intelligence are not valuable. There are still many after this batch is gone, so we can just transfer them back. But you humans wouldn't want to see a few of your disciples die, right? When you can't hold on any longer, I'm going to double the items on this list. At this time, Jìyú, the head of Yanshan, who had been silent, spoke up. I'm so fed up with your hesitation. One-on-one or a group fight, choose now. If you don't dare to fight, just go back and stop wasting my time. The other elders rolled their eyes helplessly when they heard this. They wanted to pull, but the leader didn't give them the chance. How can we continue the conversation when we've already killed it right at the start? The scene was very solemn for a moment. Master brother, you can't do this. As soon as the elders heard Jìyú's voice, they immediately breathed a sigh of relief. The only one who can control the leader is Jìyú. If he doesn't come, Jìyú might really start fighting. When Jìyú saw Jìyú coming, he curled his lips helplessly, took a few steps back and sat back. Wolf Monster King, my head brother was just joking with you just now. We are not gathered here for a duel. Jìyú's attitude made the Monster Kings feel much more comfortable, especially the Deer Monster King, who thought that it was him who mentioned the elixir and had taken control of it, and his expression became even more smug. But it's already this late. It's time for us to eat. It's inconvenient for us to leave. Let's just eat here. Monster King will make a new order. The elders were a little surprised when they heard this. Eat. What to eat? I have been fasting for so many years, how can I have any meals? Oh, I see. Jìyú must have wanted to discuss something with us, so he said that. So the headmaster and the elders followed Jìyú and sat down at the table. When the Wolf Monster King saw them gathered together, he thought they were discussing the order, so he grinned and discussed with other Monster Kings about getting more things from Yanshan. The elders were waiting for Jìyú to speak, when they saw him take out braised bones, braised chicken feet, hot and sour potato shreds, and appetizing hawthorn juice from his storage ring. In an instant, the fragrance suddenly exploded from the table. The braised bones that have been cooked for a long time have been soaked in the sauce. The aroma of bones and soup is so fragrant that it makes you salivate. The golden braised chicken feet were piled on the plate, their attractive color shredded with hot and sour potatoes. The sour and spicy aroma made my mouth water. The elders' eyes were fixed on him, unable to move away at all. It was still the leader Jìyú who reacted the fastest. Without saying a word, he started chewing the bone in his left hand and the braised chicken feet in his right hand. The other elders were not to be outdone and started chewing as well. At their level, they could easily chew and swallow the braised bones like cucumbers. Everyone at Yanshan was eating happily. Yi Yusong smiled and counted down in his mind. 5, 4, 3, 2. Crash. Hearing the sound, Yi Yusong turned his head and saw that the saliva of many monster kings turned into waterfalls and fell to the ground. Chapter 38. My stomach has learned to answer. Most animals have a very sensitive sense of smell, dozens of times that of humans. Especially the leading monsters of the monster race, the Monster King monsters, their sense of smell is much stronger than that of the monks. Therefore, the aroma of those delicacies is like a double transcendent level attack for the monster races. The moment Yi Yusong took out the food, the smells rushed into the noses and heads of the wolves and Monster King like a screw drill, and nothing could stop it. Seeing those Yanshan monks feasting on the food, the eyes of the monster race flew over and their saliva kept watering like a faucet, unable to stop. After all, the Monster Kings have cultivated to this level, and they have to save face. They don't want to show this appearance in front of humans. But I can't help it. Animal instinct takes precedence over reason, and many Monster Kings are simply unable to suppress their desire for food. Deputy Sect Leader Yi, The Wolf Monster King covered his mouth while speaking. There is no way. If I don't cover my mouth, the saliva will fly out. Please wait for a moment, Wolf Monster King. We are still discussing this. Yi Yusong was smiling. No, that's it. Gululu. While the Wolf Monster King was still thinking about the wording, his stomach had already learned to answer. The deafening gurgling sound can be heard by anyone who is not deaf. But Yi Yusong acted as if he heard nothing. He picked up a piece of shredded potatoes with chopsticks and savored it with a smile on his face. Deputy Sect Leader Yi, we haven't eaten yet. I wonder if Yanshan Fang is available. Under the temptation of delicious food, the Wolf Monster King finally begged in a low voice, which made Yi Yusong feel comfortable. What do you want to do? Before Yi Yusong could open his mouth, Sect Leader Jai Yi had already glared at him with a ferocious look on his face. His expression of protecting his food was self-evident. Even the other elders stared at the Wolf Monster King with unfriendly eyes. Yi Yusong didn't show it on his face, secretly pinched this stupid teammate, and then sent a message to the people in Yanshan with his spiritual power. Listen to my instructions. There will be more delicious dishes later. Don't make trouble now. Is there anything more delicious? Everyone's eyes sparkled. The headmaster and the elders immediately sat back down obediently, but they continued to take the meat. Oh, I didn't expect the Monster King would like human food. I'll give these to you to try. Yi Yusong had a look of sudden enlightenment on his face, then he took out a plate from his storage ring, put some food on it, and passed it over using his spiritual power. The delicious food was right next to their faces, and the strong aroma rushed into the monster races, heads even more overbearingly than before. For a moment, it seemed as if their brains had stopped working, and their hearts and eyes were filled with this rare treasure. Hands are faster than brains. The claws of many Monster Kings started to grab the food at an astonishing speed, fearing that the delicacy would disappear if they were late. This is really the case. There are too many wolves and too little meat. As soon as the braised bones entered his mouth, all of Monster King's rationality was instantly overwhelmed. The rich, salty and fragrant taste was completely absorbed into the bones after a long period of stewing. The Wolf Monster King's sharp teeth easily crushed the bones. With every bite, the taste hidden in the bone marrow would be multiplied, making it extremely intoxicated. The skin of the chicken feet is tough and the meat is fragrant. The unique texture of the bones makes it very chewy. The bear Monster King next to him grabbed a few braised chicken feet. Usually, these things are not enough to fill his teeth, but now he treats them as treasures and holds them in his mouth to savor them carefully. And the spicy and sour potato shreds. You know, among so many Monster Kings, only the deer Monster King is a vegetarian, and the others are all real carnivores. They never thought that one day they would eat vegetarian food so enthusiastically. The appetizing hawthorn juice lived up to its name. Monster King grabbed it first. After a burst of crazy eating, his stomach was not satisfied, but became even more hungry. At this moment, all the Monster Kings wished they could grow a few more mouths to eat more of this delicacy. When the plate was empty, the Monster Kings actually started fighting over who should lick the plate first. You've already eaten the bones. Why are you still trying to grab the plate? You even took 2 extra chicken feet. Don't think I didn't see it. Get out of here, I'm the leader, this is mine. The wolf monster king tried to use his power to oppress others, but instead aroused the dissatisfaction of other monster kings. This time we only listened to you reluctantly because you called us here. What kind of leader are you? You are only a little bit better than me, why are you pretending to be so high and mighty in front of me now? The monster kings didn't give the wolf monster king any face at all and started to grab it directly. The terrifying monstrous power exploded one after another, blowing away all the monster generals nearby. Once upon a time, the Prime Minister of Qi killed 3 warriors with 2 peaches, and now Jìyú Song is even more like a plate of delicious food that confuses all the monsters. The people of Yanshan who were standing by watched the fight between Monster King and Monster King with great interest and found it very appetizing. Finally, the Bear Monster King relied on his thick skin and toughness to resist a few times, snatched the plate, and swallowed the wooden plate into his mouth with his big mouth. Anyway, monster race has a strong digestive ability. Not to mention this wooden plate, I can even eat one made of stone. Especially since the plate is already soaked with gravy, the wood tastes really delicious. The Bear Monster King looks very happy while chewing wood, which is very consistent with the famous meme in some food videos, this ingredient is delicious even when dipped in slippers. The plate was gone, how could the Monster Kings, who had just tasted a little sweetness, give up? So the Monster Kings turned their attention to the people of Yanshan again. Deputy Sect Leader Yi. Sorry, we're out of food. Jìyú Song pointed to the plate that had been scraped by the elders to a shiny finish. The Monster Kings were visibly depressed. We have almost finished our discussion just now. If Wolf Monster King wants to negotiate, please renegotiate the terms. Jìyú Song said with a smile. When the Deer Monster King heard this, his eyes turned, and he started muttering to the other Monster Kings. How about we change the conditions to the delicious food we just had? When the Deer Monster King made the suggestion, the eyes of the other Monster Kings lit up. Monster King can naturally sense the spirit chi in those foods. They want Yanshan to give them spiritual plants and fruits because eating them can increase their spiritual power. Now there is something 100 times more delicious than spiritual fruits. It would be a fool not to choose it. So, the Monster Kings discussed for a long time and gave Jìyú Song a list of food requirements. Jìyú Song glanced at the number. It was enough to tire Zhu Fan to death. He gave a kind smile. Are you sure it's these quantities? When the Monster Kings heard this, they thought, hey, there's hope. So can we add more? So the Monster Kings discussed it again and came up with another number that would tire 1.85 Zhu Fans to death. Jìyú Song's smile deepened. The leader Jìyú who was standing nearby suddenly shuddered. Jìyú was very familiar with Jìyú Song's expression. Every time he got into trouble, Jìyú Song would give him this look, and over time he became a little stressed. It seems that Monster Race has made his junior brother very angry this time. Jìyú was 100% sure that Monster Race would be in trouble in Jìyú Song's hands, so he stood aside and watched the fun. Since several Monster Kings have confirmed it, let's go with that number. When they heard Jìyú Song's agreement, several Monster Kings showed extremely excited and happy expressions on their faces. But then, Jìyú Song actually took out a list and said with a smile. This is the price of these foods. When do the Monster Kings plan to pay the Spirit Stones? If you don't have enough Spirit Stone, you can use spiritual plants or materials of equivalent value instead. Chapter 39 We are here to buy for free. Jìyú Song's smile was gentle and friendly, but the price he offered was extremely shady. Several Monster Kings were stunned. Isn't the peace talks about listening to our conditions? Why do we have to pay for it? Why do you think we brought monsters to fight? We come here to rob, we come here to shop for $0. Have you figured out the situation? After the Wolf Monster King saw the amount on the bill, his tone became even more hostile. Deputy Sect Leader Yi is a jokester. Do you think we will give you the Spirit Stone? What else? Jìyú Song looked surprised. Do you still want to eat for free? Oh. The Monster King stood up, emitting terrifying monstrous power. Otherwise, what does Vice Chairman Yi think we are here for? Want to fight? The head of Yanshan, Jìyú, and a group of elders stood beside Jìyú Song, bursting out with spiritual power and pressure. Jìyú's realm is one level higher than Monster King. If it weren't for Monster Sovereign hiding behind, Jìyú would have gone up and given these monster race beasts a few big purses. Do these guys still dare to threaten me now? Jìyú twisted his wrists, his big wallet thirsty for money. Oh, who doesn't know how to put on airs? Can you Yanshan outlast us? The dear Monster King sneered. It always believed that Yanshan, which lacked the logistical support of an alchemist, would not be able to fight against the monster race for a long time. If you want to fight, then fight. Yi Yusong spread his hands. But if you really dare to start a war, you won't be able to buy these foods at this price later. When the Monster Kings recalled the incomparable delicacy they had just tasted, they hesitated for a moment. The dear Monster King frowned. It felt that Yi Yusong's fearless look really showed that he was not afraid of a fight. Could it be that Yanshan has prepared some new trump card? So the dear Monster King decided to test it out and pretended to be very confident. Hee, even if you can stop us, what can you do? Can your disciples hold on? Can the elite disciples that your human race has spent years training resist our army of mortal monsters? Are you the kind of people in Yanshan who don't care about the lives of your disciples? What the dear Monster King meant was very simple. You must be heartbroken when the disciple you trained for so long died, but I don't care if a mortal monster like me dies. Whoever cares more will be more passive. The dear Monster King guessed that Yanshan would act righteously and say that sacrifice was inevitable, and then he could use this to put pressure on him. But the dear Monster King didn't expect that the other party would not follow the script at all. Ah, you're right. I care about the lives of my disciples. Yi Yusong immediately started pretending to cry without any tears, and his exaggerated appearance was simply unbearable to watch. Zhang Monster King's sad face, theta. Especially. Yi Yusong sighed again. When I think of the disciple who makes delicious food, I feel so sorry and reluctant to let him go because he might encounter a monster and fall into danger after joining the war, causing his wonderful craft to be lost forever. Yanshan people and monster race. What the hell are you talking about? That's nothing to be surprised about. Yi Yusong said as if it was a matter of course. The person who made the food must be a disciple of Yanshan. Although his cultivation is low, he is loyal to Yanshan. If a monster attacks, he will not remain indifferent. But if something unexpected happens, the food list requested by the Monster Kings will have to be cancelled. After all, if the people are gone, they can't make it. Monster Kings. Circle.operator co-circle.operator. No, what do you mean? What does it mean that when people are gone, delicious food is gone too? For a moment, the Monster Kings were a little confused. We want delicious food, if you don't give it to us, we will fight. But if we fight, and if we accidentally kill the disciple who can cook, we still won't have any delicious food. So whether we fight or not, we can't get the delicious food, right? The dear Monster King, who reacted the fastest, figured out that Yi Yusong was trying to make them afraid to act rashly. But it didn't believe that Yi Yusong would really send that disciple to the front to fight. Instead of hiding such a precious treasure, he would be sent to the front row to take the blame. Only a fool would do such a thing. The dear Monster King, who thought he had figured it out, snorted coldly. Deputy Sect Leader Yi's little tricks can't threaten us. Do you think we won't dare to take action if you say that? It was right in its thinking. Even if Yi Yusong had his brain kicked by the golden horned bull, he would not send Zhu Fan to fight. However, Yi Yusong is now ready to play his cards openly. Monster King, you are wrong. I am not threatening you. Yi Yusong stared at the Monster Kings with his narrow eyes, and said word by word. What I want to tell you is that as long as you dare to take action, you will never get what you want. If there is a war between Yanshan and Monster Race, if I win, you will be prisoners and food on the table. If we lose, the disciples of Yanshan will fight to the death. Choose. Do you want to negotiate a deal, or fight to the death? Just like Yi Yusong and Zhu Fan said before, the monster races didn't intend to fight too hard, they just wanted to get some benefits from Zhou. Why would I suddenly fight you to the death when I have nothing better to do? It's not that I dislike living too long. Even if the human race and the monster race are in a hostile relationship, there is no reason for them to directly fight Yanshan now. And even though Yanshan had his people stolen by the Medicine King Palace, the foundation of his 6 major sects is still there. How could it be so easy to take it down? Besides, other sects are not blind. It is not easy for them to interfere in the affairs of Yaowang Palace and Yanshan sect. But if the monster race attacks, can everyone not unite to face the outside world? After living for so many years, only a fool would not understand the principle that the lips and teeth are interdependent. The monster kings chose to negotiate a deal. Although the price Yusong offered was indeed high, the monster kings couldn't help salivating at the thought of the delicious food. Because the amount is relatively large, and both parties do not have ready-made spirit stones and delicacies on hand, they agreed to deliver the goods at regular intervals. Yusong also knows how to give a sweet treat. First he gave a few more monster race delicacies as an excuse for the pleasant conversation between the two parties. Buy 10,000 get 10 free, a huge discount, for all backquote. Then he mentioned vaguely that only you monster kings can trade with us Yanshan, and the monster races of other forces cannot get it. Of course, monster races also divided into factions. After hearing what Yusong said, the wolf monster kings felt very happy when they thought that only they could enjoy such delicacies and other monsters could not. Both parties went back to their homes in a pleasant atmosphere. The leader and a group of elders who had just returned to the sect hall surrounded Yusong, asking where the food was and who the disciple who prepared the food was. I will tell you the identity of my disciple in a few days. You also have to wait a few days for the delicious food. As soon as Yusong finished speaking, everyone else was dumbfounded. Why? Sect leader Jìyú was puzzled. First, I need to complete the deal with monster race, so I might have to be busy for a few days. Second, Yusong stared at everyone, and everyone suddenly felt a chill in their backs. Second, these few days of waiting are your punishment. Everyone. Sigma degree hollow up pointing triangle degree, huh? Yusong folded his arms and sneered. I've only been in seclusion for a few years. Look at what you guys have done. Being stolen by Medicine King Palace, you didn't notice any problems with such a big thing before. You still want to fight with people. There are so many monster races right behind you, can't you see them? You don't think they are just here for sightseeing, do you? We've already said we want to negotiate today, what about you? Have you already rolled up your sleeves and rushed in when I arrived a little late? The last sentence was yelled at the head of the sect, Jìyú. The man, who was over 1.90 meters tall, was so shocked that his head shrunk below his shoulders. The group of people were so frightened by Yusong's ferocity that they dared not utter a word. After the lecture, Yusong, who felt much more relaxed, took out a table and chairs, and in front of everyone's dull eyes, took out several delicacies, which looked much more delicious than boneless chicken feet. Then, punishment time begins. You can only look, not eat. Yusong looked at the anxious expressions of the crowd with a smile, and felt that this was a good way to make them remember. I even feel that the meat in my mouth tastes more delicious. Seeing that Yusong was eating more and more happily, Jìyú finally couldn't help it and walked forward. Just when the elders thought that Jìyú was finally going to show his power as the leader, they saw Jìyú walk over, grab the food, turn around and run away, running so fast. Other people in Kanae Takamatsu. No hollow circle D hollow circle, no. On the main peak, countless disciples suddenly heard the deputy headmaster's roar that resounded through the sky. Jìyú, if you have the guts, don't come back in this lifetime. Chapter 40. Feel the smell of money. Zhu Fan was buried. Buried in a pile of glittering spirit stones, he poked his head out and felt the stink of money. These are advance payments from Monster Race. I hope you can make some food for them first. I'll arrange for someone to trade in a few days. Yusong told Zhu Fan some details of the transaction, and Zhu Fan was stunned. In the past, he always saw some unscrupulous businessmen on the internet who would buy goods at low prices and then sell them at several times the price by putting a sign on them. But he really didn't expect that the deputy head's attack was much more ruthless than those people. The raw materials for the dishes Zhu Fan made yesterday were nothing more than the bones and claws of a few low-level monsters. There was not much meat at all, and the potatoes were just low-grade spiritual plants. As a result, Yusong raised the price to the level of middle-grade pills, which was several times higher than the original price, making Monster Race make a huge profit. What's more, those Monster Race guys were quite happy about it and even thanked us before leaving. It's high, really high. Zhu Fan gave the deputy leader a thumbs up. After all, the extra spirit stones earned will go into Zhu Fan's pocket. Although the sect will also take a portion of the money, Zhu Fan doesn't feel bad at all. After all, if there wasn't a sect, where would he be able to earn the money? Monster races products are sold for free at any time. If you don't have some skills, they will be snatched away in minutes. Maybe it's not just about robbing money, you may also rob people and take them back to be slaves who love to cook. Now that monster race has taken most of the monsters away, there are not many monsters left in the outer areas. The disciples can easily deal with them. So you can follow me back to the sect now. Zhu Fan thought that Jìyú wanted to complete the transaction with monster race as soon as possible, so he wanted to take him back, so he nodded and agreed. But looking at the time, it was almost time for lunch, so Zhu Fan planned to prepare lunch for his disciples before leaving. Of course Jìyú would not refuse, he also wanted to have a delicious meal. Zhu Fan made a lot of money from Spirit Stone and was in a great mood, so he planned to make more delicious food at noon to share his joy. Beep. Get the recipe. Chicken nuggets in tomato sauce. Effect. Increases agility. Beep. Get the recipe. Twice cooked pork. Effect. Increases spiritual power. Sour food is very appetizing. Yesterday, Zhu Fan had half a bowl of rice with this spicy and sour potato shreds. Today, I want to try something new. Zhu Fan also knows how to make twice cooked pork, but the restaurant where he worked before only sold a modified version of it made with pork belly. Now he wants to make something authentic. Since both of these dishes are rice killers, today's rice cookers are continuing to work overtime. When making ketchup chicken nuggets, you first need to marinate the chicken nuggets with light soy sauce, garlic sprouts, black pepper, and tomato sauce for a while. About 20 minutes is enough for the flavor to penetrate into the chicken. When it's almost done marinating, pour in some wheat flour and stir, then put it in the pan and fry until both sides are golden brown. After the aroma of meat, ginger and garlic has released, you can pour in chopped tomatoes, water, light soy sauce and other ingredients. Finally, cover and simmer over high heat until the sauce is reduced. The rich aroma of tomatoes wafted out, making Jìyú, who was sitting outside, couldn't help swallowing secretly. The other disciples who smelled the scent through the wooden puppet started running like crazy again. And today, not only the original outer disciples, but even the inner disciples were riding law weapons and speeding. Several disciples in the next area looked bewildered when they saw the group of disciples flying for their lives. Didn't they say that monster had already started to retreat? Then why are they fighting so hard? I don't know. How about asking? Who are you asking? They have all flown away without a trace. The disciples flying in the sky didn't care about what others thought at all. They just wanted to rush forward, fearing that if they were late, their food would be snatched away by the animals next to them. Shen Ang and Zhang Rui, who were flying in the front, exchanged glances with each other, and then, with a loud bang, a large patch of gray-black fog inexplicably exploded in the air. The disciples who were chasing behind had no time to react and crashed straight into the fog. The fog was not harmful at all, it just blocked the sight and other senses. As a result, many disciples who were wielding law weapons could not see clearly and bumped into each other. Then it bumped into more people like a snowball, and disciples fell from the sky like dumplings. The inner sect disciples were all in the state of building their minds, so this collision was nothing. At most, it was just a little painful and confusing. They had no idea why this happened. While many disciples were confused, Shen Ang and Zhang Rui had already left them far behind. The monk had very sharp eyes. As soon as he saw the two guys running away screaming, he knew who had done it. FK, Shen Ang, you. I% hash at. The angry disciples stood up and rode the law weapon again to chase after them. Today they not only want to eat, but also want to avenge this arrow. As for senior brother Zhang Rui, forget it, if I can't beat him, I'll just beat up Shen Ang. While the disciples outside were fighting enthusiastically, Zhu Fan was making twice-cooked pork. According to the recipe of authentic twice-cooked pork, the material should be the pork buttocks. This part of the pig has thick fat and firm lean meat, and it tastes very nice. After heating the pan, stick a large piece of pork skin on the pan and sear it to remove the pig smell from the sweat glands of the pig skin. Then put the whole piece of meat into a pot with cold water, add scallion, ginger and wadiao wine, Turn on the fire and cook for about 20 minutes until it is cooked through and chopsticks can be easily inserted into it. After taking it out, put it in cold water to cool and dry it. This can prevent oil explosion and improve the taste. When the oil is slightly heated, throw in the thin pork slices and start stir-frying. When they are fried and curled up, you can add the ginger, garlic and bean paste. When the meat is almost browned, add some fermented black beans and sweet bean sauce, stir-fry until fragrant, then add chili peppers. Sichuan cuisine cannot be without jingtiao. After the overbearing spiciness explodes, take out the chopped garlic sprouts and let them join this wonderful party. When it's almost cooked, add some sugar, MSG and soy sauce to enhance the flavor, stir-fry it a few times until it's evenly mixed, and the dish is done. The salty and spicy aroma of the twice-cooked pork went straight into his nostrils. Not to mention Jìyú, who had been waiting for half a day, even Zhu Fan couldn't help it. After taking the pot out, Zhu Fan served 2 portions for himself and Jìyú, then sat down at the table and began to eat comfortably. As soon as the spicy and delicious twice-cooked pork enters your mouth, the rich flavor takes over all your senses here. After being stir-fried, the thin slices of meat are slightly charred on the surface, but soft and juicy on the inside. With a light chew, the gravy with the unique flavor of pork permeates between your lips and teeth, leaving you with an endless aftertaste. Jingtiao, which represents the flavor of Sichuan province, has accomplished its mission very well, with the spicy and fragrant flavors fully integrated. The vegetable juice covering the rice not only neutralizes the spicy and greasy feeling, but also greatly increases the satisfaction. After taking several mouthfuls of rice, Zhu Fan picked up the hawthorn juice he had made yesterday and took a sip. The sour and sweet taste is very appetizing, and can also reduce the slight pain of spicy food. In addition, the cool ice cube swept away the heat in the afternoon. Zhu Fan slapped his thigh with joy. Hey, it's just so comfortable. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories, and never miss out on a great listen.